We are vivo and vivo and we're alive. Estamos en vivo. Estamos...
Oh, that's a lot of people. Jesus Christ.
What?
Jesus Christ. That's a lot of zombies. Oh my God, that's a lot of people.
Oh, I was like, whoa, what was I talking
All right,
about?
hold on, let me pause this.
Are you playing the game of the year?
Stop it.
Oh man.
Hey man, I don't know.
So were you just laughing too? Why are you laughing?
No, I wasn't laughing.
My man's stretching. Like, I wasn't playing it cool, bro. Nah, man. Hey, some people got different tastes, and I respect it. You like what you like. Just like some people like sauerkraut, other people's like durian fruit. You know.
I don't know what you're talking about, but we're good on sound. Let me just share the podcast.
Do you know
out right now.
Do you know durian fruit is supposed to be like this very stinky fruit that's like supposed to be good for you or something? It's like very gross.
kind of. It's a kind of like apple cider vinegar.
No, I think it's like worse.
It's worse.
It's
Oh,
like,
great.
It's like
That's
the
awesome.
worst smelling fruit or something. It's like, what's this fish that people really, really dislike that smells really, really awful? It's like a specific fish. I think it's like a Swedish fish. I forget the name of that.
Very. Never mind.
Stinky fish. Let me see what's it called. Stinky fish name. Surströmming. Surströmming is the fish.
Yeah, it's not one you actually exactly remember.
Yeah, I know, but like it's a familiar name. Like, oh, I've seen this name. Yeah, it's not something.
Yeah.
It's at the tip of my tongue. Oh, yeah, Saoirse. Yeah, Saoirse from Little Women. Great movie. Great movie.
All right, man.
All right,
Wait for
ma'am.
everybody to. If you see if some people could jump in. In case so as Soul's preparing the video for anyone joining in and tuning in, whether if it's later in the podcast or live, check out the channel, man. We've been pumping up some content on there. I just went live streamed with a fun little indie game with some commentary and a trash mic. So I went to ask Soul what he uses because he sounds good in his videos and he got some nice little camera. But I don't know if I can even do that. I don't know if that's possible for me.
I think he just uses like the earbud microphone, right?
Wait,
Yeah,
what do
it
you
looks
mean?
like it.
When
What do you
you
mean?
like
What
when
do you-
you
what
when
do
you
you use when
stream,
you
you only
stream?
have some earbuds and you don't really have a mic in front of you.
No, I have both.
Both. Where?
Yeah, like I plug in my my earphones into a microphone.
Oh, what microphone is it?
It is still a broken one.
Damn, sounds better than much.
Those are facts. Yeah, because I'm using the headset versions that my coworker got me, and I love them. But yeah, I listened back to the stream, and it's text based, so I'm actually giving some audio commentary alongside reading the text and all that stuff. And I'm like, yo, I sound trash.
Bro, I mean, you can find cheap ones like literally just the headphone ones that has a mic built into it, or you can buy like a cheap like a Blue Yeti or something like a USB mic. I
I
don't
just
know.
have to mess around with the different like setup.
Settings,
So
yeah.
maybe it's just like plugging my PS5 into the monitor and doing it all from my desk.
Sure.
And that way I could plug my mic in like that.
What I do is I turn off 3D audio sometimes when I stream from my PlayStation because somehow, for some reason, that makes it sound worse.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I have that turned on or off. Honestly.
You can just play around with that, like do a test stream.
Yeah, I'll see if I can do that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's see. Why are you laughing, Soul? It ain't funny.
Yeah, man, Walt said something funny for the first time this podcast, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about that, but
Well, this episode's gonna be a doozy. I'll tell you that right now, man.
yeah.
I've been waiting for this since Tuesday.
Since
I can't
Tuesday, is that when you
wait.
spent $70? Yeah.
No. I didn't spend nothing.
Nah.
Yeah, I didn't spend anything.
Yeah. Square was
So-
like, "Hey, here you go."
Who's square? Who? What are you talking about?
Oh, I don't know. I'm crazy like that, you know? Go stupid.
true.
Go crazy. Ah. Bro, I'm noticing that Soul's humor, like, whenever he shares, like, a story, it's, like, the most random shit ever. Like, it'll be just, like, it's just random noise. Random shit. It's like the whole, with us. Like I bet, like, if Soul hears the snoring in, like, an out-of-context clip, like, he'll laugh at it. I don't know.
Well, my favorite part is when we tell stories and we don't finish them correctly because we keep laughing.
Yeah, true.
I love that.
Um,
But yeah, whenever you're ready.
okay. Yeah, I'm still working on the thumbnail, so yeah, we can start. Okay, guys, welcome to the 88th episode of the DualShock Sense Podcast. My name is Soul, the connoisseur anime wife, who's joined, as always, by my two co-hosts. We have Walt here. How you doing, man? What's going on? What's going on with your little bird brain ass?
Bird brain? Hey, yeah, I'm like a woodpecker. I cover it with my tongue. You know, they can wrap their tongue around their brain.
You don't have to. You don't have to
What?
go into
That's a
detail.
random.
No, it's going good, man. It's going good. Games are up and running. Shadow drops, special surprises, remakes. We got it all, folks. It's a special spooky week for me. Oh, I am pooping my pants. But yeah, I'm doing good, man.
All right. We also got Macho here. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing good, man. And welcome everybody to the King of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy fanatic. This actually gonna probably be one of my favorite podcasts, and we're kicking off the end of January to a bang, and the shadows drops, and it's all good stuff, man. I'm really excited. It's gonna be fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we got a lot in store for you guys. Really, really good show. But before we get into it, I want to remind everyone to go ahead and like the podcast, share it out. Consider subscribing to the channel, man. We are almost at 150, so yeah, help us get there, man. We would really, really appreciate that. So yeah, before we move into the podcast proper, let's talk about what we've been playing this past week. So I mean, I'll go first because it's not a very long list for me. I got into one of my moods again this past week where I was looking for games that I feel like don't exist, man. Like I was looking for more like RPGs because like I want to play things that are like Mass Effect and Cyberpunk, but like those games are just so far and few between, and like either I've already played them or they just don't exist. So like I was like on the PlayStation Store for like the past like 3 days, just like looking and looking and looking, and I found nothing. So I ended up going back to Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous, which is like another CRPG in the vein of Divinity and Pillars of Eternity, games like that, and that game is just like too much, man. The thing is that like Divinity was almost like baby's first like CRPG. It's really, really approachable, even though that game can be overwhelming and there's like a lot to learn and stuff like that. But it's not really like D&D, whereas Pathfinder is like well, it's talking about like you have a D20 and you have to make all these rolls and you have to roll initiative and all these different D&D terms that like just like weren't really like in Divinity and not even in Pillars of Eternity also, to be honest. So like
Pathfinder is based on an actual tabletop module that is similar to D&D, so that's why it's like overwhelming, because it's literally, I think Pathfinder came before or just a little bit after D&D came out.
Right. So that makes sense. So yeah, I'm finding it. I just uninstalled it. Like yeah, I was like, you know what? I don't want to. And it's not even that too. It's like, cause like in Divinity, the conversations that you get with people, sometimes it can be long, but it's like relatively like a few sentences. And then in Pathfinder, man, like these people are like throwing out like entire goddamn essays when they're talking to you, man.
It's like you're reading Hunter x Hunter. It's like, damn, what are these paragraphs?
Yeah, and like I'm just like sitting there like trying to like, and sometimes it's not even fully voiced too. So like you're reading like goddamn essays sometimes, and I'm just like, I'm bored. You know what I mean? Like, and then last night I was talking to one character, and like I said I picked one dialogue option, and it literally opened up. Like, guys, I'm not lying. Like, I had like 9 dialogue options with this one character, and I'm like, I'm good, man. like, I'm good.
Damn.
So yeah, that was. I kind of feel bad because like this is my second time trying to go back and play that game, and like
Mhm.
it just didn't work for me. The art style is beautiful. I really like how that game looks. I
Yeah.
don't like how my character looks. I think my character looks ugly as hell. But um, but yeah, that's Pathfinder. Besides that, I finished off Neon White. Really fun game. I really enjoyed my time with that. The character specifically, the sort of light novel aspects to it was I was way more into it than I was expecting. And obviously the gameplay, I talked about it in depth in a prior podcast, but just what a fun game that game is to just play. It's really fun.
Did it come
And
together in the end though? Did it all
yeah,
satisfy you?
story wise, yeah, it was it's really cool. I think I would recommend anyone who is jumping into it, I would recommend to do as much of the I call it side quest, but I guess it is kind of side
Like
quest. It's
challenges.
essentially it's essentially like the whole crux of the game is your main character, Neon White. I guess amnesia, like he doesn't remember like his prior life.
Mm.
So what you can, and obviously the main story will help piece that together a little bit, but you could piece his memories even more if you go and collect these little gifts around the stages. But
Okay.
they're like hidden gifts, so you really have to go out of your way to like find them. When you collect these gifts, you can give them to the other characters in the game, Neon Red, Yellow, and Violet. And the more gifts that you are able to give to these characters, this will unlock bonus dialogues, bonus quests with them, or memories that's tied specifically to those characters. And those memories help fill in the gaps of like your relationships to those characters and what those characters specifically mean to Neon White. I didn't do enough of that. I did a lot of them with Neon Red because obviously she's bad, So I wanted to get
Yeah.
to know her,
Yes, sir.
Uh, yeah, yes, sir. So obviously I got to know her a lot more, but like characters like Neon Yellow, I felt bad, man. I barely got to do anything with that guy. So
Damn.
but yeah, so I would definitely recommend that for anyone who's getting started with that. But yeah, that's Neon White, and then I got into Signalis a little bit more. Really enjoying my time with that game.
Dope.
But yeah, that's pretty much been it for me this past week. What about you guys?
Can I do a recommendation still in the vein of RPGs? I recommend you check out Disco Elysium. Um,
Yeah, I
I think you
played
have
that.
that, right?
Yeah, I played that when it came to PlayStation, and like I don't know, maybe I need to give that game more of a chance. I really love the writing in that game.
it's
But like
fantastic.
but I just need like this sounds like so like snobbish or whatever, but like I
Mm.
need combat,
Yeah, I was
Like I
about to
can't
say it doesn't have any combat.
yeah, like I can't like again, the writing is great.
Mm.
It's really it's probably one of the funniest games I've played in years.
Yeah.
But like I just also need for me it just can't be just walking around and talking to people, right? I need
Mm.
that other element in the game to keep my interest.
I hear you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
with
you.
you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what about you guys?
I'm gonna go first because I know Macho's got some stuff to say. So this week I've been playing Persona 4 Gold, and I restarted it.
Yeah, let's go.
I restarted because I started so long ago, but then I just kept playing other games. But this time I actually wanted to put the time into it, and I'm still barely in the first like couple hours, but already this game has hooked me in with the setting. It's the countryside. It's a small town, and I love that setting because it feels more personal. It feels more focused. It feels familiar, and it's like it reminds me of like Puerto Rico, of how like in the mountains it is. uh The character is already likable, whether they're annoying or not. I mean, some are more annoying than others, but not in the bad way of like character writing. It's just that sometimes you have that one person that you just don't want to talk to right now. I like. I'm looking for like the equivalent of certain things that I would see in Persona 5. So like instead of Sojiro, you have Dojima, which is I think the character's uncle. He's super cool. Instead of Futaba, you kind of have Nanako, which is I think it was your cousin. The equivalent.
Is great at your
Juness. Yeah. There's
She's so cute.
there's the loudmouth best friend. I assume he's gonna become your best friend. As now Ryuji's Yosuke. And he's a fun little guy. He's a kind of a weirdo sometimes, but I'm liking him. So far, man, Chie's doing something to my heart. But so far, man, I'm loving the game, the music. I mean, this one is Shoji Meguro as well, so it's fantastic music. The opening is beautiful. It's more disco / funk than it is jazz / acid jazz like P5. So this one has its own identity in that way, which I love. So it feels very distinct. The colors also are more different. You got more oranges and yellows and blues than you do reds and blacks and, obviously like P5. Aside from that one I'm playing mostly at night before bed, just putting a couple hours or a couple minutes of dialogue and whatnot. I started Dead Space Remake yesterday, and it feels like I'm playing both a completely new game and a familiar game. Because one of the biggest things that this game has going for it is, first, Isaac Clarke, the protagonist, is fully voiced. Like, completely fully, like, he has whole new dialogue, like, situations going on that never even had, like, interactions with other people. So, like, in the beginning, you usually have the commander or colonel or something, the military guy, and Daniels, which is a computer programmer / scientist. They're talking about what they're going to do at the USG Ishimura. But then this time they have, like, lore exposition with Isaac and talking more about the background and Isaac's expertise and what Isaac knows. Because realistically, we're going to fix the Ishimura. And who do you need to fix to fix a ship? You need an engineer. Therefore, the engineer is going to have all the information for this. So there's constant dialogue from Isaac saying, "Oh, this is happening because of this. Oh, the comms are down because of this. I'm going to do this." It doesn't feel like you're just being pushed around. It feels like Isaac has actual agency this time, which I really appreciate. There's a character that I don't know if she was in the first game. It's like it's one of the NPCs that goes with Isaac to the USG Ishimura. I don't remember her being there. Maybe she was, and she just died in the first one. But in this one, there's like a whole little like situation that happened with her, and you get to, the whole thing of like getting close to an NPC, and if you wait for a minute, the NPC will talk to you, like in God of War. That happens here. Dead Space has that. They didn't have that in the OG one. It's super cool. You can just be next to an NPC, and eventually there's gonna be more dialogue with them, and it's super cool. It adds more to the lore of the universe.
I was gonna ask if it felt a little weird to you too.
What do you mean?
Like as far as like having like the extra pair of like story beats there.
It feels odd because it's like I know the story, but at the same time, it's like I don't know it. Because the story, you find out more about it through, obviously, text logs, audio logs, and Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2. There's a lot of lore here that was provided in Dead Space 2. And they're providing it now. And it's super cool. Because you get to know more about things that you usually don't care about, like Isaac and his past, and how he became an engineer. There's a whole text log explaining how he became an engineer. And it's super dope. Wow. You get to actually care him.
But do you know what this kind of sounds like?
Like what?
It kind of sounds like The Last of Us HBO.
Yes, sir.
Where, like, for game fans, like, because there's a lot of people being like, "Oh, well, I played the game. Why would I watch this?" And it's like, well, there's still a lot of surprises in the show, even for people like us who know the story of The Last of Us Part 1. Like, it still keeps us on our toes.
Exactly.
yeah, so that's really cool that it sounds like the Dead Space remake sounds like it was like they knew what to keep from the original, but they also knew what improvements they needed to make to sort of modernize it.
Absolutely. And not only in the, I mentioned story side of things, but in the visuals and gameplay, of course, this game looks beautiful. You can switch between quality and performance mode. I'm doing performance, 60 FPS. It runs incredibly well. It's a beast of a game.
PS5?
On the PS5, yeah. On
Okay.
PS5. I'm playing it on PS5, yeah. Yeah, it has quite a few, like it has a good list of accessibility options as well. There's a bunch of things that you can disable disturbing scenes. So if you click on that, it'll have an effect during disturbing scenes that will kind of camouflage it or just cover it. Like if someone's getting mauled to death, that'll be covered. So you can kind of just toggle that on and off to avoid getting disturbed, I guess. One of the coolest additions they have with enemies is the necromorph.
I was about to make a joke that I feel
What?
like I shouldn't make.
Oh man, make it, weakling.
I was gonna say, oh man, they got the kind of funny mode on there.
Oh man, yeah, sure, family friendly.
No, because I just remember Last of Us Part 2 when they first showed off the clip her wings scene
Yeah,
from Paris Games Week. Bro, like literally the next day, they were complaining that it was like too much or like too violent. I'm like, bro, like come on, man. Like,
oh man.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was pretty brutal, but that's The Last of Us. It was pretty.
it was, but
gnarly.
they were like upset about it.
Yeah, I can see if like someone wants to stream this and like it's like their first horror game, but like if it's like if they don't expect it, it's like okay at that point like kind of funny. But
It reminds me of the streamer where it cuts the shot of the rabbit in the last was
that's the
part
cutest thing I've ever
one.
seen
And
in
she's
my
like, oh
life.
look, yeah, look, yeah, it's just cute, and then it gets killed by the arrow from Elle. She's like, yeah.
And they use that as a meme for everything. But for the enemies, what I like to point out is so you have the necromorphs, of course, they're back and they're, I think, worse than ever. They look more horrifying than ever. They have different. I played that space the OG last year, and if someone wants to correct me, they can correct me in the comments. But I recall the necromorphs having only one type of scream, or maybe two. This feels like there's different types of screams depending on the necromorph it is. So there's only one type of necromorph, like the OG one, the one with the arms from the stomach and the big claws from the sides, and like the head is like detached a little bit, like a bit prolonged. Some of them are like recently turned, so they sound still a little bit human when screeching, and then eventually they become more like mutated or something, or like when you find the more mutated ones, there's necromorphs that still have their uniforms, so it's like tattered up. Usually necromorphs in the original one, it's just a naked flesh monster, but in this one it's like some of them have doctors garbs, some of them have the engineer uniform, some of them look like they were just civilians, like people that were just doing nothing, and they have like shirt and pants on, and it's like all tattered up. So it's like you can distinctly see where you are in the Ishimura. If you're in the medical bay, there's necromorphs that have some medical aspects. If you're in the maintenance bay, maybe they were not doing anything and they're just naked. It's really cool. They added more music, so it's not completely based on like ambiance sounds. There is that, but there's also some, I assume, original soundtracks to this specific game that play during, like if you're alone in a hallway, you'll hear a very, very ominous melody in the background, and it adds to the general feel of the game. If it plays well, beautifully. When you get the plasma cutter, you can tell that this is a remake for people that love that space as well, and not only for people that want to experience this game for the first time. When you get the plasma cutter, there's like a music in the background that kind of makes it like an epic moment. It's like it's hyping you up a little bit. It's like it's telling you, yeah, like we're back. Like you got the plasma cutter, you know what this is about. And when you get a suit upgrade, there's like a genuine like a hype up like a guitar riff or something. There's something in the background going on when you put on the new suit. It's like there's moments in this game that make you feel like a badass in the original one, and they knew that, and they're like, oh no, we're hyping you up because we know you're gonna experience the most horrifying day of your life here in the Ishimura. So I'm loving that game. I can't wait to play more of it. I'm still in the first chapter, and I've seen so much already. Everyone looks great. The mocap, the faces, they reminds me of Demon Souls quality of how good the faces look. Aside from that one, I want Macho to talk about this one more because he's played more of it, but I impulse bought Hi-Fi Rush, and oh man, I'm having a blast. I'm having the time of my life with this game, but I want to hear Macho's take on it because I think he's more. I'm like barely an hour in, but I'm adoring this game.
All right, yeah. Sorry, I had to readjust my mic here.
You got it.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So, this has been one of like probably one of the most fun weeks so far. In this month, the first month of 2023 for gaming, just because So for those who are unaware, I did a stream for a Space Unbound, which was a indie game that released earlier this year, and it's narrative, text-based, pixel art style, a very cool and unique concept about a high school kid that has these powers that are very similar to Persona. Well, he's able to dive into the heart of others and actually change their perception and help them out with different ideas and stuff like that.
Hey.
So it's very cool and it's charming and cute. The music is really great. And his girlfriend, so the guy you're playing, his name is Adam, or Tom or something like that. Atma, that's his name. His name is Atma, and his girlfriend Raya actually has some sort of weird, unique power that is she's able to either stop time, she's able to recreate and create different materials and different situations. Like she's able to actually stopped Atma at one point from falling and breaking his back after falling from a tree and stuff like that. She actually just levitated him, didn't let him go and stuff like that. There was one point where we didn't have enough money to go see a movie, and so she just made money appear in my pocket. So like, there's like this weird kind of like thing that's going on with her, and it's very interesting and mysterious. And throughout the entire game, actually, so far, I'm on chapter 3 of 5. There's this other young girl named Nirmala who's creating a story, and you keep having like some sort of flashbacks or dreams with her as Atma. And I'm interested to see what kind of connection it is between Atma and Nirmala and Raya and how they all kind of ties together. But so far it's a good story. Well, I think you really like this because it's a slice of life adventure, and it's very much about staying true to yourself and kind of figuring out who you are, since these are high school kids and they're kind of like being dealt with a lot of different sort of adolescent problems. So I think you get a really good kick out of it. It's a nice little chill indie game, play on your Steam Deck or play in bed and just have a nice cozy chill time. So I've been really enjoying that.
Sounds great.
Earlier during the week. Yeah, I would say the same thing for Soul 2. If you go and watch like a playthrough of it, because the story is genuinely really cool and interesting. But since it is more narrative and text based, you'll probably kind of get bored pretty quickly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But so I just wanted to mention that real quick. Just give them a shot because they did provide us with the code, and
Much appreciated. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Really cool guys there. But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, man.
Woo!
This I held on from talking about because I wanted to dive way more into it, and I just wanted to kind of really get into the meat of it in the podcast here. But Hi-Fi Rush is what I am freaking talking about from Xbox games, man. This is the stuff I want y'all to give me. It's incredible. The beginning intro, Soul, I don't know if you've seen gameplay of this thing, but basically what Hi-Fi Rush is a character action game that
Rhythm.
is character action rhythm game. Yes. So that's like kind of like the crux of it. But the way I kind of describe it is that you're getting a delicious vanilla cake that is an action game. You're getting all the feelings with that too. You're getting the eccentric combos, the light and heavy attack that you're able to combine. and use in combat. You do get character tag-ins as well, which adds more to it. There is a parry system, so you're getting a big, delicious vanilla cake there, and it's beautiful.
My man's
man.
hungry.
It's so good. It's so good. The visuals are amazing. The characters are actually lively and fun. It feels like a Saturday morning cartoon jumping into this thing. It's so good. And on top of that, Walt, the main voice actors is Robbie Damon from
Yes,
Final
sir.
Fantasy 15, and Erica Lindback, who plays Peppermint.
Yes, sir.
And they're just both absolutely amazing. Yeah, I love the little I guess niche thing they have here, where just their characters are named after different like drinks or snacks. So the main character's name is Chai. You obviously have Peppermint, and then the character I just recruited right now, who's kind of like a Barrett-esque sort of physique, but he's very much about not having violence in his life. His name is Macaroon.
No, I love that.
Yeah. So and actually his buddy is named Cinnamon, which is actually it's an acronym for what Macaroon gave him. And every character is super fun, impressionistic, and very, very lively. I love it. But as I was talking about before with the gameplay, there's a lot for you to explore in that combo system, and it's so much fun. I just dive into training room, and you're able to set the AI, and you're able to manipulate what enemy you're fighting, stuff like that, to practice, and you will find stuff if you experiment with the combos you got with the grappling that you have that feels so amazing. You're gonna find some really cool and dope combos. Now, this is the part that Walt was talking about, the rhythm part. So on top of that beautiful, delicious vanilla cake, there's a little small sliver chocolate. And oh boy.
Are you just hungry though?
I'm trying to give people visualization here, because while the main focus that this is an action game, it's the rhythm part of it, the secret sauce of it, that's making you go, oh, this is different. This is hitting amazingly, because everything in this game follows to a rhythm and a beat that your character Chai is chiming into. So his what's it called, his idle animation is actually him snapping to the beat of this current song that's playing in the background. Your health bar on the top actually reverbs
Pulses.
back and forth. Yeah, reverts back and forth to the beat as well. And the whole point of this game is that you're doing action combos, but you get greater damage and you get a better score if your combos are actually in tune with the music. And one of the things I really like about this game too is that even if you're not musically in tune, and for me, I didn't turn this feature on because I actually am listening to the music and doing pretty well without it. But you can turn on this feature where it has a little bar at the bottom that actually it's a better indication of how you want to approach the beats and having correct timing, stuff like that. So I like that feature mostly because of the fact that it makes it easier to visualize whether you're in sync or not, and also it's just a really nice accessibility option for people as well. But overall, man, this game is a banger. I will be surprised if this is not in my top 5, top 10 of the year. It's really damn good. When I'm talking about games from Xbox, man, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is what we want, man.
In the words of Martin Scorsese, this is cinema.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But Walt, what would you think of your first hour so far?
Bro, you know that feeling that you get when you play a game and it's just, you feel like a kid again. You feel like you're playing something that you never knew would be possible, like now. Like the fact that it was shadow dropped. The fact that it happened out of nowhere. And it's the fact that it's the same people that made Ghostwire and Evil Within. It's Tango Gameworks. And that's insane. That they have this much, what would be the word? Diversity in their portfolio to create something. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people being like, oh man, I'm gonna check out the previous work. A lot of people are gonna be revisiting Ghostwire Tokyo now just to see how that fares in comparison, which is a very different experience. But this is incredible, man. They're so likable. Everyone is so likable. The villains feel so cartoony, but they feel so right. They feel right at home in this environment in a way. It feels like an old game with a fresh new coating of paint, like in a modern setting. Because this feels like a game you play in an arcade, and it's a short game. It's not a very long. I think you can beat it in like 8 hours or so. So it's not a terribly long game, but it has so much jam packed into it. Every single frame, every single scene, every single moment is full of serotonin rush and a dopamine boost. Like, it is beautiful to look at, to listen to. The music is actually fantastic. You have a streamer mode, so if you want to stream this game, put that on and you'll have original tracks so that you don't get copyrighted. So that's super cool. It's a beautiful. This was being made and we didn't know. That's the thing, man. I am so in love with the idea, which is it used to be the norm, of not knowing about a game until it came out and it being a certified banger. And this is indeed already. And I'd be surprised as well if it's not in my top 10 by the end of this year, because I'm having a blast with this game. And the voice act, like you mentioned, Robbie, bro, as soon as I heard this, man, I was like, oh, my boy is here. How is my boy here already? This is incredible. It fits. Because he's
so damn good too, man.
It's very anime. It's a very anime game also. But it's not cringy. There are lines in this that, if not delivered the way that they're being delivered, it would be cringy, but it's not. I don't know if you've noticed. There are certain moments where they're having certain conversations, like Rekka. Rekka, very, she's a big, strong woman. She's always talking like a caveman, but it never comes off as, oh, this is an archetype that I've seen before. It's like, no, this is a fun archetype that it just works right now. It works. It just works, in the words of Todd Howard.
No, I definitely noticed that for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple of cheesy lines, but like I said, what Robbie Damon does with it is just hilarious. Like, the section I just finished actually was going to the R&D level.
Okay.
And I forgot the exact line, but like, it was so cheesy. But Robbie Damon just pulled it off, and it was like, oh, you made it to the R&D. He's like, yeah, we are R&D here. I'm like, oh my god, that is so damn cheesy. But you know what? It works because it's Robbie. It's so goofy, and Chai's a little bit of an idiot too. So yeah. like he toots his own horn. He's a sloppy hero. He's but he's so lovable at the same time. And then you have Peppermint there to kind of bring him down a couple notches.
He's very dense. I love how one of the most recent lines I remember, which it shows his personality, is when Peppermint, which it's the cat, right? I assume, like the one talking.
Yeah, that's
okay.
808.
Okay,
that's her.
But she's talking through 808. Okay. When she tells him, "Hey, we need to go to the quality assurance building," and he's like, "Oh, where could that be?" And he's like looking in front. He's like, literally the big building that says QA on it, QA assurance. Yeah. And I'm like, I love that they're treating this like the environment and the buildings and the names. It's all like, the behind the scenes of video game development. But in this case, it's the development of a product, it's an invention that fuses people with a machinery or whatever. And the way that it's set up, it's so coincidental. So it's like, it's not like this master plan. That's why Chai is this way. It was an accident. And I love the way they did it. It's so good. It's so silly, but it's all working together. I'm impressed that these are the same people that did Evil Within. I love it. I love the diversity in what they can make. I can't wait to play more of it.
It's so polished too. It's
way too polished, man. It's hand drawn.
And I feel like it came out like at the right time. Like they needed this, especially coming off of Ghostwire Tokyo, which, like, to be fair, felt like the most similar to like Days Gone. Just felt like the most AAA ass game that could possibly be made. And yeah, it just feels like this was a nice like palate cleanser for like how a lot of people was feeling about Tango, honestly. So yeah, I think this came out like at the right time for sure.
Absolutely, man. And again, Shadow Drop. Do this more. Shadow Drop more games like this. I am proud to say, like, I'm gonna be able to if I love this game like even more than I do now, by the time I'm finished with it, I'm gonna beat it again on Xbox, and I'm gonna I'm gonna turn on my Series S and I'm gonna play that in the big screen because I'm playing it on my Steam Deck right now, and it plays beautifully on the Steam Deck. I've got that Vibrant Deck up. Oh man, it is magnifique.
Oh yeah.
It is magnifique. Man, I'm so happy. And it's $30, so it's not bad. It's not a fully priced game. Well, it's pretty affordable in that sense. I'm happy for it, man. I'm happy. I hope that someday, somehow, the planets align and you're able to play this game somehow.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on that.
When it's
On that
released on
PC,
mobile.
man. Get on the PC.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spend a couple bands to play Hi-Fi Rush.
I mean, I'll say it's worth it, man. The game's
is,
damn
it
good.
is.
Damn good.
Yeah, a couple $1,000 to play Hi-Fi. Yeah.
$1,000, bro, just the Series S. That's like $300.
I'm alright.
All right. But yeah, is that it, Macho? You play anything else?
Yeah, that's all. That's all I played. That's all.
Yeah. Is that all you played? Yeah. We'll get to the other game when we get to the topic.
I mean, let's just move into the podcast
All right.
proper, and let's start with Forspoken.
All right.
Forspoken dropped Macho. When did it release officially?
Tuesday, the 24th, January.
So yeah, Forspoken dropped on Tuesday the 24th for PC and the PlayStation 5. It is currently a 66 on Metacritic off of 81 reviews. It has a 3.5 user score. Well, I don't know about you, but I have not played this game. I don't think I will be playing this game. Macho's the only one of us, right, that's played it?
Yep. No. Yeah. I'm not. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm gonna be playing Ghostwire Tokyo before I even play this. So.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
So I mean, Macho, take it away. What's going on with this game? Why is it a 66 on Metacritic, man?
Oh man.
There's a lot of reasons why.
Oh no.
There is a lot of reasons. So let me pause the game here as I bring out my notes. Where do I begin? So this is coming from, as you guys know, a Square Enix fan, a passionate Square Enix fan that want this game to succeed as much as anybody. Because I want to lift up my new IPs, you know, and beautiful black leads. I want that to work. I want that to happen. I love it. I love supporting all that stuff. And man, this game just it's not it, man. So a little bit of background. I did not spend $70, Walt. So what actually happened was I had some GameStop credit, had some coupons ready to go, and I had some trade-ins. So that's what happened. I did all
My
that.
man looked like an abuela in that cashier, being like, no, I got a coupon here. I got a coupon.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I sure did. I was like, can I change my email to? Can I get the extra points? Oh yeah, I pulled up all the stops. I didn't pay a dime on this game, and thank God I didn't. So man, where do I even begin with this game, man? So the thing about Forspoken, I think that the hate train was really overblown, and the whole thing on the dialogue was overdone as well as social media does. So I wanted to give the game the benefit of its doubt, and just try it out for myself, really, because that's really the best way. I think the one thing you could take from Forspoken is that you genuinely have to play it to really see if it vibes with you, and even then, you're gonna need a lot of patience with this thing. So I've been having a love-hate relationship with this game the past couple of days. The first 6 hours were a slog. It was boring. It was not fun. I don't know who directed the cutscenes to this game, but you need to not have this job ever again. Why is there a fade to black for every other cutscene in this game? Like for random things. We have Cuff, which is the magical armlet on Frey, saying, "Oh yeah, go and climb that mountain." Fade to black. Fade back in. Frey is climbing over the stone wall or whatever it was. And I was like, "What's the point of that? Why don't you just have her actually show her climbing the thing?" And then, oh my god, like I'm trying to get all my thoughts together. I'm trying not to scatterbrain because it just pisses me off, man. But yeah, there's so many random fade to blacks that it doesn't make sense, and it's immersion breaking. It's like, please, whoever directed the cutscenes this game, just please don't do this ever again. It's so bad, and it's laughably bad. Okay, all right. So starting with the story, Frey is in New York City when you see her, and she's getting to a courthouse, and she's under a couple of different charges relating to whether it's breaking in or whether it's grand larceny. And the judge kind of gives her a pass because it's near Christmas and everything, but it's already implied. It's sort of implied that they kind of know each other. That Frey's been around the block around here. She's an orphan. She did have the best upbringing in New York, so you can really kind of sympathize with her in the sense of that she had a hard upbringing, and it's not really, life is not exactly kind to her, and it's even more so when she's walking in the street and she runs into the gang that she associated with for a car theft or something like that, and they have her at gunpoint saying like, "Where's the car?" and stuff like that, and then you have this chase sequence with her. She eventually escapes. She gets to her apartment. And then you're introduced to her cat Homer, which is this is for you, buddy. You love cats, so this game is for you.
No?
So somehow Frey saved up this bag of money, and she's ready to leave New York. She's gonna start a whole new life. It's like a little bit more of inspiration here, but it's also like you see her in her downtrodden apartment is dirty and funky. She's sleeping on the floor with a dirty mattress. So obviously she has like a really hard life, and she wakes up and her apartment's on fire. And guys, I kid you not, man. The bag of money that I'm just talking about was by her mattress. She's in her room. The apartment's on fire. She wakes up. Oh god, there's a fire. I gotta get out. You can look at the bag of money on the next to the bed, and I go to pick it up. She's like, I have to find my cat. I'm like, pick up the damn money. You're right there. Just pick it up and go find your cat. So you leave the room. She finds Homer, saves him, but then she tries to go back to her room and just flames all up in her room. Like, well, that's what you get for being dumb. And then she eventually escapes, and then does a fade to black, and then you see her on the street with her cat all burnt up looking. So you don't even get to see her escape the damn apartment. So how does she leave? How does she get out? Like, it's so dumb. And then Judge, which is it's probably in the middle of the night right now, maybe like 11 p.m. something like that. The judge is like leaving the courthouse in her normal clothes, and then Frey just leaves her with the cat and says, "I have to leave." Like, what? When did you associate this relationship with the like? I don't get it. Dude, I don't get it. And then we get to a little bit of a self-reflecting moment where Frey's like, I wish I can leave here, and she's even contemplating suicide at this point. She's just jumping off of like the high bridge that she's on right now, and then she looks into the distance or something like that, and sees something shining or whatever. A window is open, and so she decides to break into this place for some reason or another, and that's where she finds a cuff, and then she gets transported to Athia.
And now she's talking to a cuff.
And now she's talking to a cuff. I will say
fighting
the
jacked
dialogue
up beasts. Yeah, I guess this is my life now.
So besides a few things, I don't think the dialogue is as bad as social media is making out to be and naysayers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's serviceable, it's fine, but it's definitely a bad Marvel movie turned up to 11 in terms of dialogue.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
In terms of story pacing, horrendous. Absolutely abysmal, man. The whole entire thing is acted. The reason why it's empty, quote unquote, is because there is this worldwide plague, in a sense, called the Break, and this thing essentially turns anything it touches into monsters. So just a flock of people just fled into one area. I keep forgetting the name, but it's like what is it? Sepal, that's what his name is. It's Sepal. Everything that's named in this game is like some sort of reference to like a real world thing, like Capal, capital. Like that. Wow, that was creative.
I was waiting for I was like, okay.
No, yeah, and
I was waiting for the punchline.
Yes, I didn't say
no, that was it. Sepal is like some wordplay with capital, like great. That's really creative.
Ugh.
And then the high intellects of this place, of this newly kind of reformed sort of society here,
Uh-huh.
the intellectuals are called I kid you not, dude, cognitions. Yeah. Yeah, it's too on the nose. Like, I'm just like, come on, dude. Who is thinking of this crap? Like, this is so bad. It's
Yeah,
so
who
on the
is thinking
nose
about
that it's
who's to blame for this, Macho?
a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people to blame for this. So in this place, this is the first 6 hours of the game, and it's so dreadfully boring. There's this guy that has a weird, eccentric Italian accent, taking on a tour of the entire capital, and then you feed sheep. Like, yes, I have this magical cuff. I can do really cool magical abilities, and I want to feed sheep. Like, come on, dude. Like, it's little stuff like this just doesn't make any sense. Like, what's going on with this game? Um, it's just weird how like in this group of people has like a bunch of different accents in there. Like, there's one person with a British accent. This one sounds a little bit more American, and I talked about the eccentric Italian sounding guy. Like, it's all over the place. It's not consistent, and it feels so weird, man. I don't understand what went wrong with this game. But I don't know. It's weird. So Frey, when she actually enters this capital, they kind of list Deemer as like this demon that she's bringing a blight to us because she's different than us. Blah blah blah. So they send her to prison, and then one girl breaks her out, for whatever reason I'm not gonna get into because you guys don't care. And people just like when she escaped, people just don't care that she's like escaped. Like she's just walking the street, she's just floating around. I'm just like, we're allowed to do this when we just escaped prison. Like, okay, whatever. And then the biggest motivation comes from one of the Tantas, which is like one of like the big four uh magic users that you see in the trailers. The girl, or at least the lady with the gold crown head, um, that just like that basically covers like half her face. And so she comes in and kills a couple of people, and that's Frey's motivation to go and hunt her down and kill her basically. And then that's where the game actually gets a lot more fun. Once you are not into these, once you're not on this railroad that this game just tried to pitch to you for the past 6 hours or so, and you venture into open world, this is where it gets fun. You're now parkouring, and it's very Infamous. Like, it feels fun and frantic and fast. Like, it's very very cool how they made this basically this huge playground. The world is big too, for you to kind of explore and kind of just jumping off of rocks or of cliffs. I don't understand why there's fall damage in this game though, because it kind of breaks the momentum of you just speeding around. So when you're jumping off a high cliff, your instinct reaction as as a person playing is that you just want to keep going. And for some reason, Frey just does a superhero drop, and she stays there for like 2 seconds, and it depletes a little bit your speed mana, which you use to navigate around the world, and it's really jarring. And it's just like at the point I'm just like, why? Just let me keep going. I don't know if there's like a later spell that can alleviate fall damage, but regardless, it's there, and it's really annoying. In terms of the magic combat system, I think it's really gonna make or break for some people. I like it to a degree, but I looked actually at a couple of videos to see what late game spells are available to you and what other kind of different stuff you can use. And some of it I'm interested in, and others I'm just really not. Um, but it's fun. I think it's intricate, it's in depth, but also a little bit shallow when it comes to the RPG stuff. I thought it was gonna be a little more. It is customizable, but I thought it was gonna be a little bit more intricate in a way because you have a cloak in your fingernails that you can kind of go in and customize Frey with to customize like your certain builds, whether if you want to enhance purple magic or red magic or blue magic. But so far, I haven't come across a lot in my 10 hours of playing. I came across like maybe like 5 or 4 different cloaks for her that I keep equipping because it's the next best one. It only got like 3 different fingernail paintings, which again is not a lot. So the game is pretty stingy on that unless you just keep exploring the open world and keep doing random tasks like defeat this amount of enemies within this amount of time, or get to this point in X amount of time under like a certain time limit or whatever. The game is very gracious too in giving you mana to level up your spells. So you could be playing, like for my 10 hours of playing, I got 2 different types of magic, and I'm able to unlock a whole bunch of different spells. And so it's been fun to kind of mix and match. And in combat, you're always making on the fly decisions, whether it's to use phrase magic for that's more rock based, so you could throw rocks at people, you can bring up plants to spit out different rocks at more enemies, or you can use a leech ability that can sap some health from them, or and then I can also switch to the fire magic, which is obviously more up close and personal, more damage based, more destructive. So it's fun to see all the cool visuals and stuff on the screen. So the gameplay part of it, in terms of the parkour and the magic system, really cool stuff. Awesome. But so, unlike Valkyrie Elysium, where the combat carries that game and it's worth playing, Forspoken isn't.
So you're saying Valkyrie Elysium is better than Forspoken?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is a hot take, but as a hot take, I agree with.
It is a hot take, yes, but it's purely because of the combat, where the combat in Valkyrie Elysium is just for me a lot more fun. And Forspoken, it can range from being mind numbing to, oh, this is cool, I'm paying attention. And it's mostly been the former in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And especially since this is one of those games where you can just turn off your brain and just go. Then yeah, you have to question though of, am I using my time wisely here? And as someone who's very stringent about using their time to game, I'm like, do I even want to bother with this game anymore?
What I'm also gonna say, look up Project Athia gameplay trailer and compare that to the final product.
Yeah. That's a good point too.
It's a downgrade.
Absolutely.
Wait, the like initial reveal trailer?
Yeah, the gameplay trailer they had showed when it was Project Athia. Look at that, and then look at the gameplay for now.
I mean, wasn't that like goddamn like CGI though?
No, it was like actual.
It was more of a. I think it was more of a tech demo than.
But it was actual in-game, like there was gameplay about it. There wasn't like just CGI like cutscenes and whatnot.
The last 10 seconds, yeah, it was like little gameplay snippets.
Exactly.
Even that didn't look graphically like that good.
It looked better than this.
Really?
Yeah, look it up. Because now it looks muted. That's the thing. The colors look so much more muted than they did back in when they showed this game when it was still Project Athia. And that's my thing with this game, is that it doesn't look fun to look at. It doesn't look good to look at. The combat can be, flashy as hell, and the particle effects can be, all that. But it's muted. The world looks so bleak. I've only played the demo, but if the demo is representative of the final product, it doesn't work. For me, it didn't work. And the combat is supposed to be the highlight of the game, but it didn't work. It just felt like nonsense. It just felt like a bunch of ideas thrown at a wall and some stuck. But then you could still see the splash of the ones that didn't. I don't know.
I'm glad you said that, because I want to elaborate on a couple of things there.
Do it.
So the art direction for the enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. I think they look awesome. I really like the look of them. But when it comes to the actual world, it's bland as hell. Like, you have your really cool moments, and you have your forest and your sand dunes and stuff like that. But it gets really old really quickly and is not memorable at all. On top of that, the graphics suck. The game doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is coming from someone that's not really. I'm more about art direction I am about graphics, really. If you have a starking art direction for me, I'm all in. I love that. You have better graphics on top of that, cool. I'm gonna have a good time. This has a boring art direction when it comes to the actual world, and frankly, some of the NPC designs are atrocious as well. One girl is wearing just a white tablecloth as her garment, but that's besides the point. The graphics are just horrible. It looks like an early PS4 game.
Exactly.
Frey and other. It's like there's some moments where the facial animations and the mouth movement are on point. It looks really good.
You showed me a picture.
But then Frey has times where it looks like her face was hand animated, and it looks horrible. Like, this is your main character, and she just looked horrible in certain scenarios. They do not do Ella Balinska justice in this game because she is a beautiful woman, and she does her absolute damn best to make this thing work. But like, it's just the ideas, just like Walt, you're saying, the ideas just don't come together, and I think it's because Forspoken was a marriage of Eastern and Western game development, with obviously a more of a focus on Western game development because Square Enix just has a hard on for having a Western focused audience and having their pie and eating it too, and it doesn't work. It absolutely doesn't work. This is the second game from Square Enix that feels more Western than a Japanese based game. The first one was Final Fantasy 15, and that game looks better than this.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see, and that's where we are at. It's the fact that the people behind this have history with making good-looking games, but
Yeah,
this doesn't.
I think also intentionally this game is a lot bigger than 15.
But that's a problem. Why you make it so much bigger when, again, it looks that monotonous. It looks that it gets, it gets really tiring really fast with how the open world is. Why not make it tighter and make the parkour feel more memorable or more purposeful, rather? They showed in the project.
Well, that's where I will fight you on that because I think that stuff is genuinely good. But is it worth? Is it worth $70? No, absolutely.
Exactly. And is there an environment worth engaging that mechanic on?
I feel like it's hard to answer because I feel like it's to each their own. Like people are gonna look at different.
Okay.
Like they're gonna be very divisive on like what they like to see and what it is that they're.
It's almost like it's subjective.
That really clicks. What really clicks them? Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like games. People play whatever they want.
Essentially, which is why it says this game essentially is like the best. It's the best kind of, you need to play it to really know if you like it or not. But
yeah,
I mean, if you play the demo and it doesn't vibe with you, then you're good. That's it. You need to be curious like I am. I was morbidly curious about this game. I love Square Enix games. I love the fact that they were bringing out a new IP. It looked fun, looked cool. It looked like a Magic Infamous. I'm down for that, right? I love Infamous.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it being compared to Infamous.
Oh yeah, it's as fluid and as fun as that for sure. Probably even more so.
But then you look at an Infamous, and there's a lot of verticality. There's a lot of buildings, and this is more fantasy. And I think that's where you start seeing the contrast and people kind of being divisive because it's also it's an isekai essentially. Infamous wasn't an isekai. This is literally you're transported to a fantasy world, and then you have a protagonist that is from a modern era, and then you have people that don't really vibe with how she is as a character, and then you have more divisive stuff that's nonsense. Then we won't talk about that. But in this case, it's not a game that I would buy for $70. I don't know if it's a game I would buy, period, unless it's like someone's like gifting it to me because they want me to experience it. Because I just don't feel compelled to buy it. But I trust your opinion because it's Square, and who is more critical and more, of a lover of Square than you are. And
well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And that's where you start to see like the contrast in the quality between their mainline property versus more experimental properties, where experimental seems to just not be that consistent.
Yeah, that's the biggest disappointment, honestly. I mean, last thing before I get to that point, because I did want to touch on that,
Of course.
is that Frey. I don't think she's a bad character. I don't particularly love her, but I don't even want to see the end of her journey, to be really honest with you. But like, I don't hate her. And that's kind of like my take on this whole game is like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it, and I kind of don't want to see the end of it. Like,
she's not bad. She's bad.
I'm fine after my she's real bad. Yeah, Ella Balinska, she's a bad girl.
Hey yo.
But I have a huge celebrity crush on her, man. She's a doll. It's just that the game itself is just not that great, man. It's just I'm finding a lack of purpose to keep going on, and I feel like I'm good after my 12 hours. And well, if you did want to try it, I'll share play with you. You'll figure it out. You figure out how much you really want to play after you play the first 6 hours or the last, or the 12 hours in or whatever.
You're 3 hours away from beating it, because supposedly you can beat it in like 15 hours, right?
I'm on chapter 7 of 12, so I think that varies.
Oh, okay. So you're like just a little bit over halfway.
Yeah, essentially. I did more side stuff last night and a little bit into this podcast here. But yeah, I don't think she's a bad character. And the whole isekai thing, it kind of works against it and for at the same time
Mm.
because I think it's the one thing that actually works. So I talked about this before with Star Ocean, the Divine Force, how that game is not an isekai, but it has the same situation where you have a main character that mixes with a whole different kind of way of living. And that was Raymond, who's has a more science fiction background. He's a cargo shipper that goes to different planets, and he lands on this planet that has nothing like that. Has none of that technology. They're entirely fantasy based, and you can see those two kind of clash. That's where the fun part for Spoken comes in, where you see like her New York attitude and her sensibilities kind of come through her dialogue, and people kind of look at her weird. Like there's some genuine moments like that, or whenever she's talking with Cuff, like that one quote that kind of went around, that one video clip that went
Talking
around
to a
that made
cuff.
it where they're kind of making fun of each other, and I was like, oh, it's just me and Walt talking.
Yeah, but it's not a you and I game. It's
No, but stuff like that that's relatable and it's kind of fun.
I know, yeah.
Well, to that point, the whole like her being from New York and having that in the game, did that resonate with you at all in the game of just like seeing her talk and the mannerisms and things like that?
She was like, "I'm walking over here, cuff."
I mean, it
Where's the big gabagoo?
What's the freaking gabagoo? I guess this is my life now.
No, what else was he doing in that
Let me get the You motherfucker. You motherfucker.
she's definitely not like that. I kind of wish she was like that, but no, she's not like that.
Like Mario.
Yeah, I mean it's relatable, sure, but it doesn't make her any more likable.
Oh man, that's it's like you see yourself in her, so you hate it.
Yeah, I was hoping that would like help her case, but yeah, that's unfortunate.
No. She's drippy, like she's dripping in her fit. Like the outfit is like insane. Like that's
her dirty ass white shoes. Yeah,
no one her Converse. I will say that a highlight has been the what is a cowl, a cape? I don't know what does she wear. You can change it.
Yeah, a cape. Yeah, it's like yeah.
The design in that beautiful. That's one thing I will give Square credit is that the design of like the people, like it's unique. The matrons or whatever they're called.
Oh, the Tantas, yeah.
The Tantas. I love that name, Tanta. And Frey's design as like she looks like a protagonist. Like she looks like there's purpose. It's just that whenever there's when this is good as a comic because it's not moving, it's not talking. Because when this game moves and talks, that's when people start to be like, oh man, this ain't working.
Yeah, no, like I think like should be cool like in a Soul Calibur game or something.
Oh, bro,
you know, like
for sure.
As a
Or
fighting
like
character.
or like some expansion DLC in this game where you buy like a what's this monster called from Final Fantasy that he's missing a horn, and you have to find him in Final Fantasy 15. Behemoth,
Right.
yeah, like do like a DLC expansion with a behemoth that you have to hunt down or something like that. Like
That'd be cool, yeah.
there's cool stuff you can do with this game. It's just that the final product, I guess, this is where people start to question like, is it worth what I'm spending on it? And I think it has like a 2-year exclusivity or something. I don't know how long.
Console exclusivity, yeah. It's
Console
on PC.
exclusivity. Yeah, it's on PC,
Which-
but
Yeah. Which, by the way, the performance is like it's neither here or there. Like I said, the graphics are not impressive whatsoever.
mhm.
Performance is fine. I mean, the last thing I want to kind of get into, and then we can move on after this,
Mhm.
is that well, I mean, this is another point I had. That the sound mixing is horrible, but that's besides
Oh
the point.
man.
It's just a future of Luminous Productions. It's the second game they released. That's a AAA project, has a AAA budget. And I can't imagine Square Enix looking at this and being like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." The fact this game got 60s and it's not reviewing well, it's just again, it's a mesh of different development ideas. It's a clash of East and West, and this just doesn't work because there's so many different ideas in here that just do not mesh well. It doesn't work. That's it. Unlike Todd Howard, it doesn't work.
The antithesis of Todd Howard.
Pretty much. It's like it's fun to make fun of the story. It's a ridiculous concept. It's not to be taken seriously whatsoever. When it does take itself seriously, it's not horrible, but I'm not like fully invested into it. I feel like the people that love this game, all kudos to you. I'm glad that people can actually vibe with this, but as someone who's played Square Enix games for years and knows what they're capable of, and to see them flounder for like half a decade now is really disappointing. You have Marvel's Avengers, you have Forspoken now, Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy, The City of Final Fantasy NT, and I guess we could count Battlefield Chronicles because I didn't do well in reviews.
Didn't they publish Babylon?
Babylon's Fall. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
is this year's Babylon?
No, not by a long shot. That game was dead on arrival, anyways. But
yeah, you're right.
It's just I right now I sent out this tweet yesterday and it got some responses.
Oh yeah.
But it's I have to question. Not even question. I am questioning and absolutely taking more into consideration of Square Enix's AAA product quality when it comes to new IPs. When it's Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm all in. They already proved to me that they can make great single player games with that. Final Fantasy 14, that team behind it, and on behind 16, you know it's gonna be damn good because they already proved their chops. Team Asano that does Bravely Default and putting on Octopath Traveler 2 next month. That's a winner.
A goated.
Goated, exactly. But these other developers that are under their umbrella are, besides the Star Ocean stuff, I think Star Ocean was really good. Even if not like Final Fantasy VII Remake level, but still really, really damn good. Are just mediocre, man. And I can't not be not quiet about this anymore. I know it's redundant, but it's just like, I'm not gonna fake it, man. I'm really not, because this game is like super mediocre and average, and it shows. The reviews, I feel like some of them are a little bit harsh. I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think it's a great game. I think it's one you have to play for yourself to really see if you want to play it or not. But two, it's just poorly made, and all the reasons I had just said before. It's not good.
What was that interaction? So yeah, nice to see people smiling again.
This game has some genuinely hilarious stuff. Like I sent Walt a couple of NPCs how they look.
Oh brother,
goofy. Oh dude,
NPC.
Some goofy looking NPCs looking hella weird. There's one. So when Frey actually kills one of the Tantas.
Spoiler.
Whatever. It's like Tanta Silva. That's how you get your fire-based magic from her. Okay. And you come back to you come back to Sepal, and everyone's celebrating. Everyone's happy. Like yeah. It honestly felt like the Munchkins with the Wicked Witch. Ding dong. Oh, just that. It kind of felt like that a little bit. And then so they decided to have like a little dance party with the eccentric Italian man I told you guys about. And that was nothing but just weird button prompts. It's just so weird. This game has so many weird ideas, and it falls flat, man. I would say if you have a friend that has it, see if they can share play with you. If you want to rent it, go for it to try it out. I was morbidly curious, and I was left really disappointed. And to be honest, I'm probably not gonna pay past my 12 hours.
And there's a hidden, so if you do everything in the game, I've heard that there's a small cutscene that it fades to black, and then you hear, "Where is my gabagoo?" And then it sets up the sequel, because apparently the final Tanta is the Italian man.
Oh, I wish that would make things a lot better. Um,
Oh man.
yeah. Shout out to Ella Balinska, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't deserve this. You deserve better. Man. Yeah. What a flop this is.
Damn.
I'm really disappointed.
That's but like the thing is that like I feel like I don't know what it was. I know the demo, like playing the demo absolutely like cemented it for people, that people did like a 180 as soon as they played that demo, that they were like, okay, this game is not it. Um but like I just feel like the more before that demo, the more and more that they showed of this game, like people were like growing like less and less and less interested in it. So like it was kind of similar to like the Gotham Knights thing, where like the more we saw that game, like people like smelled something in the air around Gotham Knights
A
before
funk.
it came out. Yeah, and I feel like for whatever reason, Forspoken had kind of like the similar thing, and it's just interesting that yeah, like both of those games just kind of like turned out the same, you know?
You know where it started, Soul? To dwindle for Forspoken? It was their marketing video of I'm talking to a cuff, whatever. That's when people started like, oh, wait a minute.
I feel like yeah, like that was
Yeah.
like maybe like the second strike against it, but I feel like even like before that, like people,
Mm-hmm.
because like remember, like this thing was showing up at like every state of play, and like I don't know, I feel like even before that, like people were getting feeling a little lukewarm about this game.
It was not marketed properly, I don't think.
Well, I mean, what marketing could they have done? Because like like even like but people are playing it now, and they're realizing that it's not that good. So I don't even think the marketing could have saved this game.
No, because I think also they could have shown the true strengths of the game. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I don't know what those strengths are. Maybe the strengths were shown and that was the best it could have offered. But it's the way that they introduced the main character through those dialogue options, or like the moments that they chose to portray. Like, why not show the more dramatic moments, like the burning of the apartment or something? Like, show those moments when you're marketing. Like, emphasize on that instead on the. So this is my life now, and it's like
I'll interrupt you right there, Well,
tell me,
because
baby.
the strengths were the parkour and the magic. They already showed that.
Oh man, then it was just dead on arrival. Then not dead on arrival, but like it was just
No, but it's
cynical on
just like
arrival.
because the game is a single player narrative action based game. So what's the other important part of it other than the action stuff, the narrative, and they showed that. I guarantee you, Walt, they show you the apartment shit. Sorry, I'm trying not to curse. If they show you the apartment stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that'll been another red flag.
Oh man,
It's bad.
Yeah, I
It's
get.
like it's just not good. Like I'm saying, the fade to blacks are horrible. Like absolutely horrible. Like, there's a fade to black of her leaving the apartment when it's on fire. You don't even get to see that play out.
This game's gonna go down in price in a month.
It already has a $10 off coupon. On
Oh my
Amazon.
god. Oh my god. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
That's crazy, bro.
It's like I said, there's a lot of fun to have in the open world, just traversing and turning your brain off and having a lot of fun there, and that's good and dandy.
Mhm.
I really, really, really try to have a high tolerance for it, especially since Square Enix has been pumping out kind of average games. That's not what I mentioned before, what I praise all the time. And I just couldn't do it. I just can't do it anymore. Like even when I'm trying to have fun, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm actually having fun. It's pretty dope. At the end, I'm like, do I need to do this? Like, is this game gonna make my life right now any better? And it's not. So I'd rather play something else.
Do you think there's any salvaging this game with updates or something?
No. I mean, it's gonna have its core audience. It's gonna get its performance updates, which it should definitely get. It's gonna get its DLC.
Called classic.
Um,
Hmm.
um, I don't know. It's a hard question. To be honest, critically and just overall, I think this game was already in bad straits. The
Mm.
fact that it's already claimed as a bad game, quote unquote, it's
Yeah.
not gonna do any service. It's already done. Like that's it. I think this is not gonna be. If we get a Forspoken 2, I'm gonna be super surprised. If Lunas Production is gonna work on another big AAA budget game, I'll be very surprised because they just proved twice in a row that they don't know how to do story at all. And
Oh,
I know
man.
15 is a pain point for me because I was really anticipating that game, and it was good, but it was also disappointment. I think we can all agree here that the storytelling in that game was abysmal.
It worked after everything was released because then you got all the the
Right.
separate parts of the DLC, and Arden episode Arden came out even later. So
Right. Yeah. Vanilla FF15 was.
Vanilla
Yeah.
15 was rough, and that was what I
Right.
played,
Yeah.
and I
That's
enjoyed
what
it. But
What did you say, so?
what's that?
I said, and that's what I played. Vanilla version of 15.
Exactly. So like, it's the fact that also the Final Fantasy has an identity that you'll see it doesn't matter which iteration, and it works. The formula works. Chocobos, those are a never-ending charm. Like chocobos, you can insert that anywhere and it'll work, except Chocobo, the racing car game. Like that's those are things that there are things in these games that no matter how you execute it, it's gonna work in some way or another. It's the fact that Forspoken doesn't have even an audience coming back to it, being like, "Oh, I remember this from this." No, this is a first of its kind IP with its first time world and first time protagonist. So you're not even appealing to an audience that is a lover of one thing, because this game is many things. It's what I always say, how some games just don't have an identity, and this game doesn't seem like it has an identity. It just feels like a lot of things together, and it kind of just moves on its own, you know?
Yeah, it's like a bad Western-based Final Fantasy game.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like.
yeah.
It's
It's an isekai. Isekais are not good by definition. Like isekais generally are not good. Like anime isekais, they're few and far between the good ones. Like Shield Hero's good, ReZero is good and loved. Mushoku Tensei is good, but those are like years apart. But these are stories that embrace the fantasy aspect, and in this one, it doesn't seem like that way. It feels like there's a discrepancy between the main character and the world.
well, there is. I mean, they lean into the fantasy stuff because obviously she's living it, she's there, but she keeps rejecting it, and it's fine because she wants to go back home for some reason, just to her cat. Like she really established she
Get
had a
another
really
cat.
happy life in New York. Which by the way, there are lots of cats in this game. This guy has a weird cat fascination, including following cats to get treasure and all. It's weird.
Yeah.
But it's really established that she wanted to leave New York for good. So why is she so desperate on going back? And the fact that this world is not hers and it's kind of weird to her, but she has magical powers.
Yeah.
You know, it's this weird juxtaposition of like, I want to leave New York so badly. I want a new life. I want to go do this and that. And she gets to a whole new place, and then she's like, oh, I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to deal with people's problems. Like, then you're just not likable at this point.
Yeah.
Even-
Who's the
even-
problem?
even
You're the
spo-
problem then.
Even when the motivation was there, which spoiler was a kid dying that she like, you had interaction with like twice in the game. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go kill the Tanta now because it's the kid that I know is
It's
dead.
important now.
Like but it's not like Sarah where it's like you didn't see her die. You find her
Spoiler.
after the Tanta. What? Yeah, whatever. You find her after the Tanta did her thing in the town. She leaves. A couple people are dead, and then you just find the little girl dead on the floor. Which, by the way, was a fade. Which is a Faden.
Oh,
Faden from Black.
what is this, a
And it's just like,
PowerPoint?
you're just like, okay. So, yeah, I'm done with my rants for Spoken now. Sorry it took so long, but like I just had to get off my chest, man. I feel bad talking more trash about it than good stuff, but yeah, man, that's
You know what's crazy,
Forspoken.
Macho?
Yeah.
It's the fact that Forspoken right now is on PC and PlayStation, and the game that we're praising this podcast is an Xbox exclusive.
Oh yeah, Xbox One this week for me for sure.
This week is Xbox week, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't like to compare the two games, but
It's a
'cause obviously they're so-
competition. It's capitalism. They're always competing each other, and like,
Well, no, it's just the games themselves. Like they're very different, but like,
But one
Hi-Fi
offers
Rush is
a more complete
absolutely
package.
more my thing.
Yeah, no, and it offers a more complete package. And if we're being critical, it offers something that's way more polished, and it's a smaller game. But yeah.
It's to me, Wi-Fi Rush is way worth playing more than Forspoken, and yeah, I think That's super evident for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean Dead Space too. Let's not forget about Dead Space, man.
Oh, bro,
Oh,
Dead
yeah.
Space. Oh my god. I forgot to mention there's an alternative ending, secret ending you can unlock.
See, I'm at a bit of an impasse right now because I want to play Dead Space, but also Macho. When does Hogwarts Legacy come out?
Oh man.
The 7th for digital deluxe and the 10th for regular editions.
Okay, see, so that's right around the corner. So like
10 days. Yes, sir.
spending $140, in the span of like a couple weeks is like. So I think I'm gonna wait on Dead Space because I want to play Hogwarts Legacy. So
Sure. I mean, hey man.
I think Hogwarts Legacy would be way up more your alley because of the RPG aspects of it, man. It's shaping up to be looking good.
But if you want to play one of the best horror games of all time, then you're good.
I've never played Dead Space.
There
and I
you
wanna-
go. This is the way to experience Dead Space, I think. This is the Dead Space. And if this one gives what's their name? The motivation, bro.
All right.
Dead Space 2 remake. Oh my
Did you
God.
write Forspoken, by the way, Will? Did you write it?
Bro, how did you know? I'm quirky like that. I also wrote Velma.
And,
Oh,
and
gosh.
actually, I lied. I have played a Dead Space game before. I think it's called Dead Space Extraction. The
Yeah, the Wii
Railgun
one.
shooter on the Wii.
Yeah, you're
I
that
played
weirdo in the
one.
podcast that plays Wii games.
I definitely played that one.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to play it.
I
at
can
some
wait.
point.
Yeah, I can't wait. Hogwarts Legacy, I feel like it's the kind of game that we need to get on because we're gonna be talking about it. And if you're getting it, I haven't pre-ordered it, Macho. I was gonna do it, but then I just pre-ordered Dead Space that day. I might just get Hogwarts when it comes out if y'all are getting it, so we can talk about it.
I already got digital deluxe edition. Oh, the
Dork.
7th. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We're good to go, man. That latest presentation was fire. So I'm excited.
Abracadabra!
But yeah, man. So that is Forspoken and a little bit of Dead Space. Let's move into I guess sort of the last big. I mean, okay, actually, no, we have a few more. Let's talk about the future of Uncharted here.
Interesting stuff, man.
Yeah, Uncharted slash the Last of Us Part 3 too. So I am going to pull up this.
So Naughty Dog, just in general.
Well, so obviously The Last of Us on HBO is doing the rounds right now with Neil and Craig Mazin doing a bunch of interviews and things of that nature. Neil was talking to BuzzFeed this past week, and he was asked about dance
So there's a Last of Us. I wasn't here for the discussion, but that latest episode was amazing. Loved it. They did the thing better than I think in the game was executed. They gave me more rapport with Tess. Tess was amazing. Anna Torv is a goat.
I got it. Okay. So yes, in this interview with BuzzFeed.
Battlefield, nice. I know that one.
I was thinking about Dealfield Chronicles, the game I always think about.
Not very state life.
Or Starfield.
Nah. So yes, Neil was asked about The Last of Us Part 3, and he essentially said that quote unquote, we've been pretty open, and strap in. This is a long quote, so strap in. We've been pretty open that the next Last of Us game is going to be a multiplayer experience. And then he said that it's going to be another chapter in the universe of The Last of Us. Beyond that, I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether that will be a thing or not. All I can say is at Naughty Dog, we are very, very privileged that our publisher is Sony, which means Sony funds our games, supports us, and we're owned by Sony. They have supported us every step of the way to follow our passions, meaning that just because something is successful, people think there's all this pressure and we have to make a sequel. That's not the case. For us, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best-selling games, and we were able to put our final brushstroke on that story and say that we're done, we're moving on. Likewise, with The Last of Us, it's up to us whether we want to continue it or not. Our process is the same thing we did when we did Part 2. which is if we could come up with a compelling story that has the universal message and statement about love, just like the first and second game did, then we will tell that story. If we can't come up with something, we will have a very strong ending with part 2, and that will be the end. All right, so yeah, that is Neil on sort of The Last of Us Part 3 and the future of Uncharted, which I feel like this kind of goes into like a bigger discussion about just like ending things in general. And like I just have like such a big respect for whether it is books or long running movie franchises, game franchises, whatever, that like don't just like continue things because just for the sake of continuing things. Like when character stories are done, just leave them. You know what I mean? That's why I have such a big issue with Sly 4. Like that character's story was so beautifully finished and left off. Like it's such a nice like bow with Sly 3. And then you have Sly 4, and the danger and the risk that you run into with continuing things after they've been wrapped up is like you have sometimes like characters regressing. Like Sly's arc was so like it finished in Sly 3, and then in Sly 4 it feels like you have that character regress, right? Or retread the same ground in some ways. Or in Penelope's case, again, you have that character regress, right? In a way that just doesn't feel like it makes sense for those characters. Like I feel like all the time in bringing this to like Marvel, you have both Tony Stark and his name is what's his name? Steve Rogers, right? Their arcs ended beautifully in Endgame. And what you get like now, you see fans all the time being like, "Oh, we want to see them come back," and all these things. And I think even Kevin Feige said, "Well, anything's possible in the multiverse," right? And my reaction to all that stuff is just like, leave those characters alone. Like you gave them beautiful send-offs. Like just leave them alone. And it's the same thing with Nathan Drake. Like I don't ever want to see Nathan Drake come back. You ended his story off like beautifully, right? So, and this goes to like, you know, major game franchises and things like that. I feel like Halo should have ended with Halo 3, to be honest.
You're not
Mass Effect, yeah, Mass Effect. Like we'll see what they do with the next Mass Effect, but like if they bring Shepard back for like the next one, I'm gonna feel a little bit weird because I feel like
You want Ryder instead?
No, I obviously don't. But like we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. But and it's the same thing with The Witcher.
Wednesday, go back,
right? But like The Witcher, like could you imagine if the next Witcher they bring back Geralt after they ended his story off so beautifully in Witcher 3, right? Like you can't do that. So like,
especially the DLC too, yeah.
Especially with Blood and Wine, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially with Regis, like his last line in that DLC, basically like the Witcher franchise was saying to Geralt, "I believe we've earned a bit of a rest." And then with Geralt looking to the camera saying, "Yeah, that we do." You know, like you don't like dig up Geralt's dead body and bring him back for like another
dance monkey dance
after that, right? You don't do that. So like I say all that to say that like I really respect Naughty Dog for like, you know, doing what they did with Uncharted 4 and saying like we're moving on. We're done with that character. We had a story that we wanted to tell with this character. We told it. There's nothing left to say. We put everything out on the kitchen table. There's nothing left to say with that character. So I know there was a lot of people kind of disappointed to hear this news, even though it's been like what 5 years since we've had an Uncharted game.
Yeah, it's been a minute. But, I think people just like holding on to the hope.
I guess so. But yeah, what was your guys' reaction to this, and how do you guys feel about like Uncharted being done with Naughty Dog being done with Uncharted? And I guess just like in general, this idea of like franchises sort of like still continuing on even though they probably should have finished by now, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it falls into different. Yeah, because I think, Macho, it falls into different layers. Like, I mean, if you have examples, jump in to go back and forth. Because when I think of like ending a franchise, sometimes you just need to stop or you're going to ruin. Because you get to the point where you're going to ruin the franchise, or you can do nothing and it just keeps being the same thing without adding. Like the Fast franchise. Like Fast and the Furious, just it makes more money every time a new one comes out, But at this point, it's just mindless popcorn theater fun, I guess. Like it's the story is no longer the hook for people. They just want to see
What
Vin
about
Diesel.
family, Walt?
That's the thing. They just want to see Vin Diesel mutter family and kick some ass, and that's it. Like, but when you have Uncharted, like for the longest time after Uncharted 4 came out, and I think Lost Legacy came right after that. That's the thing. If you're gonna explore the Uncharted universe, don't touch Nathan's. Let's go with Sam. I don't know. Make a Sully game when he was younger. I don't know. Make like for me, it's not so much the franchise more than it is the who you're touching on. Like
Yeah, the character.
yeah, whose story are you gonna elaborate on before or after the main event, which is Nathan Drake's story? But also, if you don't have anything else to tell and you're not passionate about it, then don't talk about it. I'm not over here, twiddling my thumbs, thinking, "Oh my God, when's the next one coming out?" There was a sentiment of people, "Oh, I want a game with the daughter." Do you though? Do you want a game with her? Like, we're just gonna get Lara Croft 2.0 and maybe some great writing, which Naughty Dog always delivers. But that doesn't add substance to creativity. I don't think so. I think that for Naughty is just they like breaking their shell more and making new things and making telling new stories. Or if you're gonna revisit Uncharted in this case, do it in show form. I don't know. Last of Us is doing pretty good. Make a show. Don't make a. There's no movie for Uncharted. They haven't made a movie. Maybe
that movie's fine. It's okay.
They don't. 'Cause- But that's the thing. You look at the movie, that doesn't feel like that Uncharted. You watch the movie and that it doesn't feel like the Uncharted versus the Last of Us show that feels like the Last of Us that but it adds to it. So for me, it depends on the property that you are bringing back or elaborating on. But when it comes to Uncharted, I think it's four. There's 5 games for God's sake. I think we're good. I think we told the story that we wanted to. They could tell more, but I think we're satisfied on Nathan Drake. At least me, I'm good with this. When it comes to other games, and if they want to keep making more, I mean, you have examples like Final Fantasy, where it's Final Fantasy, but it's a different story each time with repeating elements. That works because it's a different story with homages to past games. Then you have little fan service games like World Final Fantasy, and Dissidia, which are just fun spin-offs. I mean, look at God of War. Did anyone think should Kratos come back? He should go to this pantheon, this other pantheon. If not for the idea of reinventing the wheel or doing more in the franchise, we wouldn't get God of War 2018 or Ragnarok. So for me, it's how are you tackling the bringing back a franchise? That's my big thing. But for Uncharted, I think we're good. Let's close that and make another game.
Macho.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. Cause I'm for developers and just creators in general putting a pin on their stories for their characters, especially something like Cobra Kai, where they just announced that season 6 is going to be the final season. Now it's a surprise to me because that show every season was a success, and like they could just ride that wave forever. But they decided to actually put a pin on it because they're done with the story and the characters that they want to tell. I felt the same thing for Uncharted, man. Like Naughty Dog, we've seen them shift at nearly every generation with a new franchise, and the one the PS3 and the PS4 was a little different. Obviously, we actually saw more sequels than anything from them, but regardless, I feel like it's okay for them to move on and to not work on another Uncharted game. But if they did want to do another Uncharted game or another Sony studio want to do another Uncharted game, I feel like it's totally valid too, as long as it's just, again, not touching on the characters that was beautifully told and said, and from what Naughty Dog did. The best, I mean, coming from the Square Enix background, the first thing that comes to mind is Kingdom Hearts, and like Sora's story, at least that whole Xehanort saga with 3 and stuff like that. That stuff ended with 3, and I'm happy with that, right? That's fine. They put a pin on those characters, but we're still getting some spin-offs with like some other stuff too that feels a little odd. Like I closed a chapter on that entire part of Kingdom Hearts. Now with 4 coming in and bringing in new elements, we're getting a new world, probably more Disney worlds, or whatever the case may be. Okay, that gets me more excited. That gets me invigorated to like go back into the series, even though I already said that I'm okay with the series ending at 3. I'm fine with that. But it's a new possibilities that and the new things that they could bring into it that makes it more exciting. That that makes it worthwhile looking into again. So I think they can do the same thing with Uncharted and other franchises, but um, as long as it's like not with the same characters, I feel like that chapter's already closed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree.
Um, and then also just like purely talking about like on the creative side, like you've been working on a franchise for like, I mean, they've been working on Uncharted since 2000, from 2007 to 2017. That's a long time to be working on a single franchise. And obviously they had The Last of Us in between that, but at some point, like you want to like take on new challenge, you want to challenge yourself and you want to try something completely new, like you want to put yourself in a scary position where you don't feel comfortable, because like Uncharted to them is probably comfortable, that's going back to a comfortable place.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so like just breaking away from that and just trying something wholly different is going to be scary, but like that's what makes it challenging, and that to me as a creative that would be way more exciting than doing Uncharted 6, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely do think that there's something to be said about like that aspect as well. Um, but
Right. I
yeah,
mean, we already know that they have like some form of script for Last of Us Part 3, right? At least something written out.
Yeah, no, they have
And
the
that's
story. I think I read or heard Neil say that they do have the story for Last of Us 3. Uh, they just don't. They didn't see at the moment if it was gonna become a game or if that was even a conversation. But with the success of the show, I feel like they've started to think about different ways to tackle it.
I
I have
mean,
no.
let's
That's the thing. I don't even know if they even would want to still continue with Part 3 unless they have something really solid because they have the multiplayer.
well let's get into that, because that's the thing about this quote, that like I don't think that they're working on The Last of Us Part 3
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
currently. Um, him talking about in this quote that like, hey, like if we have, I mean, he says that like, hey, if we're not able to find like an interesting story that once again touches on the themes of love that the first and the second game did, if we don't find a story that we're passionate about, um, then we feel like we have an ending with part two that is satisfying.
Mm,
So like I don't know. Obviously, it could go either or, but like I don't feel confident that their next game is part three.
right.
I'm with you
No,
there.
you guys looking at that quote, like how do you guys feel about part three in general? You guys think that's like a shoo-in that their next game is part three, or what?
Go ahead, Macho.
Well, no, I'm with you. So I don't think their next game is gonna be Part 3. Honestly, if anything, the Last of Us multiplayer is gonna be kind of their creative pool for Last of Us ideas for the time being, especially with the series and stuff like that. Like I'll be okay. The thing is that it kind of really made me think that they're probably not working on Part 3 or decide not to go with that anymore. If they were deciding that, was when Neil said that if we do decide to not go with it, we have a definitive end with 2.
Right,
And I feel
right.
like that's more than enough reason to kind of leave it as is, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
what do you think?
Um, I mean, the fact I don't doubt that they have the where they would go, because one thing is to have the story planned out, while and the other thing is to have the themes in there. Because I trust that Neil has in the back of his head like what he would do for a part three. However, how he would execute the themes of love and it being such a primal, uh, you know, emotion that makes humans do the most of heinous things. Uh, I can see how with Ellie, how everything turned out at the end, how the feelings that she was left with. Dina being still out there and her feeling certain way and wanting to reconnect and how she's willing to do anything for love. No, I can see how, but again, I'm not the creative behind it, so I don't know if it would feel true to the franchise. That's something for Neil and the creative team to determine. I'm good with part two ending there. I'd just be excited if there's more. So I wouldn't mind a part three, honestly. If I was able to enjoy part two and it was apparently very controversial, bro, give me more of that. Give me more depression. But I don't know, man. I'm good with this. I'm good with ending here. I'm just glad that in that same vein we're getting in more of the show, and I'm just glad that the show exists and it's so successful. So I don't know. By the end of this run, by the end of how many more weeks? Like 6, 7 more weeks are left of this.
Around there, yeah.
Neil, again, there's a lot of things that could go one or the other way. Only he knows what he will feel by the end of that. So right now, I think we're good where we left off with the story. But I wouldn't mind more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation. I'll be interested to see, like, because we're expecting. I mean, I don't even know if Factions 2 is like slated for this year. All we know is that we'll get more information on that game this year, but we don't know if it's coming out this year.
Bro, we don't know. That's like Elden Ring. I don't even know if that exists. I don't even know that's true.
There's that, but then also, like, again, like, just, you look at on Neil's bio, and you look at Kurt Marginow's bio, and they both have that Neil's the director. I think his bio says on quote unquote that future game, and then I think Kurt's bio is something like gameplay director, and then like asterisk like on obviously on like a next game. Yeah. So Kurt's is game director on just a bunch of asterisks. So like obviously they're working on something, and like I don't know, I'm really excited to see what those two's next game is. But yeah, we're definitely gonna have to wait a while to see what that is, I'm guessing.
I wonder what the influence is going to come from, because of the Washington Post interview from Gene Park with Naughty Dog. It's Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann saying like what's like some big influences and like what are your favorite games, stuff like that. And he mentioned Elden Ring, stuff like that, and what they can do narrative wise with that. So I wonder if they're going to lean more towards less cinematic storytelling and more player driven storytelling.
That is Neil's sentiment as of late. He was really inspired by Elden Ring, and he's really enjoying the more environmental storytelling. So I wouldn't put it past them if they approached the less cinematic route. I wouldn't mind.
Not necessarily an Elden Ring game, but like more.
No, but not to that they're gonna make an Elden Ring game, but that he got inspired by a game not holding your hand. Right. So I could see the next Naughty Dog game being something that they haven't done before. And honestly, Naughty Dog has a certain pedigree of quality that it's like when you think of like a Rockstar or something, that I'm just glad to see whatever they cook up, because honestly I don't care the setting. For me, it's always that the writing and the characters, I know they're gonna hit. Hopefully, knock on wood. But yeah, here's to see what they do. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
They're working on the Order 1886 part.
Bro, don't say that, man. I want to know what happens after that finale.
Okay, Bloodborne 2
then. Also, shout out to him calling out Sony, and just like the fact that I just really like the idea of like, because again, I feel like this goes against, like, if you guys remember that Jason Schreier article about like Sony quote unquote only being obsessed with like blockbusters and things like that, and just like seeing this quote and him saying that like, hey, like just because like a game is like successful for us, we're not getting the pressure from Sony saying that we need to make a sequel immediately because of that. If that was the case, we would have gotten an Uncharted 5 from them by now, right? Yeah. And I feel like that's just been Sony's philosophy since like, I don't know, like PS2, PS1 maybe. Just like, you could go down the line and you could see how Sucker Punch has constantly evolved themselves, and like, they're, after they finish Sly 3, it's on to Infamous. After they're done with Infamous 2 and then Second Son, it's on to something brand new. Same thing with Insomniac, how they're always jumping around from Ratchet to Resistance to Sunset. Well, not Sunset because that's Xbox, but from Resistance back to Ratchet to Spider-Man. And then this Naughty Dog, obviously, from Crash to Jack to Uncharted to The Last of Us. Guerrilla with Killzone to Horizon, right? So I just love this idea of like Sony not being afraid to like let these studios, spread their creative wings and try something new. And I fully expect that being the trend going forward. So yeah, it's very cool to see that.
And they also
Yeah,
took
because then you
advantage.
get like super cool projects like Hi-Fi Rush, where you
Exactly.
know, you know,
Out of the norm from what they usually do from a studio.
I mean,
right?
but we've already kind of like seen that with games like I mean, we will see that more in the future with we had that with Pixel Opus and Concrete Genie, and now their next game will definitely be a smaller, sort of experimental title in the vein of that, or
Yeah.
we see something like a Returnal get funded from PlayStation Studios, right? So it's not like, or even something weird and out of the box like Dream. So it's not like they don't do those smaller titles. You know,
Right.
we have like a Team of Sobi as well, right? So, um, I'm definitely expecting that to be more prevalent, I think, this generation than ever before from them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Absolutely. And Naughty Dog's always someone that they take advantage of the current hardware with every game that they release. And I mean, you even saw it with the PS Vita with their Uncharted game there. What was it, Golden Abyss, Lost Abyss? I forget the name. But they really went off with the touch mechanics and the touchpad behind the Vita. Like they always take advantage of the
That
current
was Studio
hardware.
Bend though that did that.
Yeah, but it's still like in the same vein being a franchise that it reinvents itself. The property is that flexible, and I
Oh,
can't.
got you.
I don't know what. Again, could be existing IP, could be a different IP. I just want to see what Naughty Dog is gonna make. They're
Yeah.
so naughty.
So and then
Are you
uh,
talking to someone in the
continu-
chat?
No.
continuing the Naughty Dog trend, let's close out the podcast with The Last of Us on HBO. So yeah, I mean it's been a show, guys. It's been like an unmitigated success. 2 episodes in, we're basically on the eve of episode 3, which is supposed to be, from everything that we've heard, another one for the history books. Maybe that's a little hyperbole, but like episode 3 is supposed to be really really good. Um, so yeah, it's really cool seeing this kind of like break outside of like our circles, and like because I watch like a lot of channels on YouTube who do like specifically like they talk about like movies and TV, and they're not necessarily gamers, and just like hearing them talk about like how much they are loving The Last of Us. And one specific person that I follow on YouTube, who again is like more like, he does movie content, and he does like a superhero podcast as well. He used to work at Collider. Um, he's doing this thing where he is like, he watches an episode of The Last of Us, and then he bought Last of Us Remastered, and he's playing up to the episode in the game. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, he like, for instance, he, after episode 2, he goes to the game and he played up until Tess's death. And now once episode 3 airs, he'll play up to that point after watching the episode, right? So it's almost like he's like
That's cool.
doing like like a min max the deepest dive kind of thing, where they play like specific chunks of like a game before they all hop into a call and talk about it. So I don't know, I just think it's so cool that this show is like having that sort of like effect on people, that they want to go and check out the game now. But yeah, man, I mean, what do you guys want to talk about the about Last of Us specifically? I mean, I think the show is just incredible so far.
I mean, if what is there to, because there's so much good stuff. What specifically do we want to talk about, Macho? Anything that irks your brain?
Well, specifically, I love the fact that we're doing a weekly breakdown because it's been so much fun,
Mm,
and it's even better the fact that the show itself is just so damn good,
mm,
and there's so much to break down. Even though Walt, you and me talked about certain moments for the past couple years since we started doing the podcast of how great that game is, and we've all talked about Last of Us extensively, but to come into it with a what feels like a fresh coat of paint here is really exciting, and I love that we can dive into this stuff every week and just have fun with that in general.
yeah.
On top of that, I love the fact that I pressured my parents to watch it, And my mom is not super hot on it, but that's also because she's in her novella phase right now. That's all
Oh
she
man.
wants, and that's all she needs, kind of thing. I'm still blaming her for the fact that they couldn't log into HBO Max on their TV, and I think it's because she's intentionally putting the password wrong so she can watch her novellas. But that's beside the point. Um, but
Damn.
talking to my dad every week about it is also a blast. I call him up when I come home from home, and I'm like, "Oh, did you watch the last episode?" Like, "Oh yeah, it's crazy. Like these clickers are just so scary, and the sound they makes are awesome." But the guy Joel, he's kind of like a bad guy, right? I'm like, kind of. and and then hearing him talk about like Ellie too and Tess, like so like the fact that is and mind you guys, this is a man that has never played a video game like really ever. Like he's rarely into games. He only when I was young, he only looked at games like as a pass by thing. Like, oh yeah, the graphics looks pretty cool, and I was like on PS2. You know what I mean? Like stuff like
Yeah.
that. So for him, and so me kind of hyping up like, oh, it's based on a video game. The story's really good. The fact that we have something that we could talk about every week as well. That's something that I'm really passionate about, and it's near and dear to my heart. It's really cool. And that wouldn't have happened if this became, a show. So I think that aspect alone is just really cool, and it kind of goes on your point, Soul, saying before how like it's getting people into the series that never even thought about it before or heard of it. I think that's something really special. But I know Walt has a little bit more to talk about with that too. So go for it.
With the oh man, I mean, my mom is watching. My dad's not. So my dad doesn't watch shows unless he's watching it with my mom. So my mom is watching Last of Us, and I love it because whenever she gets to like a big scene, like I would show her the equivalent of that in the game, so that she's genuinely interested in seeing how it kind of like differs from how it was introduced. And usually my mom is someone that she will ask spoilers. So if we're watching a show like let's say like Game of Thrones, and she'll ask, does Ned die? And I need to answer her because if not, she's gonna look other means to find out that answer because she doesn't like the
My mom's
anxiety.
the same way.
Yeah, yeah. You see, and it's like she says that she doesn't like the anxiety of not knowing. Like for me, I get it because sometimes I'll spoil myself with certain things. So it's beautiful to kind of see her not care where it's gonna go because she doesn't want to know. For this is the first show ever where she's like not asking questions, and I know we know the story and I know what's gonna go on, and I know that once Sam and Henry are introduced, she's gonna ask me, "Do they die?" And I'm like, she's gonna ask me that, guys, and I'm gonna have to answer her. So
I mean, you could say yes, but just don't say how.
I won't say how. No. Never. I never say that how. I just say kind of, and then depression. Bro, this show has been outstanding. I wasn't here for the infected, but I mentioned earlier, fantastic episode. I told Macho off the podcast that I think that the way that they did Tess's death, I found it better executed or way more impactful in the show than in the game. Because in the game, you don't even see her die or anything. You just hear gunshots and then her body's on the floor. And that's it. But in this one, they made it like a moment. Like I told Macho that the fact that they showed different variants of Horde here, they show the runners, but then they show like the half, like I think that's a stalker. The one that kissed her. Like that looks like a stalker. That's just halfway through a clicker and a runner. And the way that it looked like she was fighting the control of the cordyceps and how she was like getting slower and matching the lighter. It's almost like she had a moment where the cordyceps was taking over, but she was like, no, I still need to do this. And then she blew herself up. What a beautiful way to go out. And what a beautiful way to in the context of the show, because it's depressing. It's depressive as hell. And that final shot with Ellie, I loved it because the episode started with Ellie curled up, sleeping in some grass, and the sun shining at her like this beacon of hope for humanity. And then the show ended with death behind her, and this beautiful scene behind her. And kind of this panning out with the music kind of subsiding and the episode ending. I love that it started with her and it ended with her.
Mind right now.
What's up?
You kind of blew my mind right now.
Yeah, I mean, it started with her, it ended with her. This is the purpose of this journey. It is Ellie. And I love the way that the way that they're using imagery, the Easter eggs, the little giraffe plushie that was in the show in this episode. Like, man, I'm in love with this show, man. This is probably the best show right now in TV. And I'm seeing movie channels, TV channels that have never played the game ask the question, is this the best TV show in the last like 10 years? Or is this the best TV show on HBO, period? And like asking the question, could this be easily one of the top 5 shows of all time? Like movie channels, people that have never played the game. So you can see how this appeals to both game fans and movie fans. And I'm here for it, man. And the big news was that, what happened, Macho? What got renewed?
I was just about to get into that. So
Tell us all.
some stats. HBO announced that The Last of Us Episode 1 has now been viewed by more than 22 million viewers, and that's just in the United States alone, which is nuts. And even crazier was so we know that the first episode debuted at like 4.7 million, but then episode 2 debuted at 5.2 million. So it was like they said it was like a 22% increase from episode 1 to episode 2, and I think it was like it broke a record for HBO as like one of the highest like episode 1 to episode 2 jumps that they've seen for an original show of theirs. So people are tuning in, man. People are tuning in for this show. And obviously, I mean, it was really just like a matter of time when they were going to announce that it was going to get renewed. But yes, we also found out yesterday that yes, The Last of Us will be renewed and that there will be a season 2. Neil and Craig had kind of been like teasing it. I think even Bella was teasing it as well. That like, yo, we're having discussions about a possible season 2, but it's not written in stone. People just need to keep watching it so we can actually get a season 2. And lo and behold, 2 episodes in, already renewed for a season 2. So I guess the big question is there? I mean, I don't even know how to like structure this question, but like, is there any like specific changes that you guys want for season 2, or do you guys think they'll make any changes, or do you guys think it will be much how they're approaching this season with the first game, that they're pretty much going to be 1-to-1 in terms of like adapting it? How do you guys think they're going to approach the next season?
Maji, you want to kick it off?
That's so tough.
It's tough, right?
Because that game is so dense.
And because like I've seen idiots online being like, oh, they need to change Joel's death. I'm like, hey, bro, like, come on, that's literally changing the entire goddamn game.
Out of all the changes, that's the change. No, that's not the change.
No, it's just because The Last of Us Part 2 is a lot like God of War Ragnarok and
that's a masterpiece, yes.
Well, a couple other places sequels were like it's bigger and quote unquote better, depending on who you're talking to. So it's really tough because The Last of Us Part 2 had a couple things that I just didn't really jive with, which was the like a lot of flashbacks and slower gameplay moments that just were kind of boring. So I think what the show can do is cut out a lot of that fat and tell something a little bit more concise. I don't know if flashbacks are going to be the go-to, but I don't know, because there's a couple of moments in Last of Us Part 2 where the flashbacks really hit and cement the entire story. So I'm not sure. It's going to be, either way, it's going to be a bigger project for sure than the first one. Like probably way more overwhelming than people realized. So I don't know what they can really change personally, since I didn't really finish it. I got like Abby's second day.
Yeah, weekly.
I just hope that with what they're doing with the first season, they keep that same core theme and stay true to the characters, even if they're making some slight adjustments. That love conquers all, and in this story, love is more of a destructive force than it is a than what we usually see in movies and entertainment, stuff like that. So I just hope they keep that foundation, because The Last of Us Part 2 has a reputation, and I feel like they should keep true to that.
I think for a lot of people, the pacing didn't work because it did go back and forth a lot. Three aspects: Ellie, Abby, and flashbacks. And I think with the show, you're able to do that, but in show form, it works more because we're doing that now. We're already getting flashbacks of a certain time period, but then we jump right into the present. And I think you have ways to do that. Cutting fat, they're cutting fat now with Last of Us because we didn't get to explore the towers that were like leaning on each other, the two buildings that were leaning on each other. The clicker encounter was in the museum. That wasn't how it was in the game, but it worked for the show. And I think that for instance, the beginning of part 2, you have that whole sequence where you have to go with Abby and you have to, walk through the snow and get to the lodging, and then you have to be Joel and run from the. I feel like all of that is gonna be like 10 minutes. Like the way that they're gonna do it, if they do it, more concise, way better paced. I kind of see how people find the pacing in part 2 kind of jarring because it is a lot of back and forth, and a lot of people did not expect there to be a second protagonist and it being your enemy and questioning and challenging you. But I think part 2. The season 2 can do that way better because it's a show. And I think shows, I mean, you can do flashbacks way better in a show than I think you can do in a game because you're not playing it. So the show can take you out and put you where it wants you to be and make it work. I think they just should keep the same structuring that they have for season 1, but for season 2, plus a bit more. They're going to have more money. They're going to have more time, hopefully. It's going to be longer. Part 2 has a lot more going on because it's essentially 3 different stories you're telling. It's Ellie's, Abby's, and then Ellie and Joel's in the flashback. So I wonder, will we get some of those flashbacks in later episodes of season 1 and then not being season 2? Because they can do that now. They can give you a season 1, a part 2 scene in season 1 and not spoil part 2. I think they can do that. Will they? I don't know. Can they? I don't know. That's not for Neil and Craig to do. But they can most certainly add to Lev's backstory. Maybe we get to see how Lev escaped the cult. Maybe we get to see how a little bit of a montage of Abby working out. I don't know. something. I don't know. We're gonna definitely get more from the characters that we thought we didn't care more. Like Macho had mentioned, he didn't really like Jesse as much, but then Saul thinks that he kind of enjoyed Jesse's inclusion in the game. They could What's up?
I said, yeah, I like Jesse a lot.
Yeah, and Jesse could be a character that's much more fleshed out in the show because it's a show. There's no gameplay, so everything is pure story. They're doing even the traversing beautifully in the show, where you have Tess, lifting up, Joel lifting up Tess to get over some rubble. That's a game thing. When they dive in front from the crashing rubble in the background, that's a game thing where a checkpoint is up. So they have those key little gameplay moments, but it's like a few seconds, but it works. And I think season 2 is going to be like outstanding if they do it.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if they break it up into 2 seasons.
Sure.
I was gonna say that too, actually.
Because, keep in mind, Last of Us Part 2 is it took me 30 hours to beat that game. And, sure, game. A lot of that is, gameplay, but, that story is probably double the length of what they did in Part 1. So, I wouldn't be surprised if, this is how I imagine it. And I feel like people are going to be pissed if they end it this way. Mm-hmm. But, so yeah, season 2 will follow Ellie's whole journey of her going to, being in Seattle. And it's going to cut off the moment when Abby goes into the movie theater. She shoots Jesse in the head, kills him. And, Ellie and her is having that standoff. Lev is in the background, but I think at this point you don't know who Lev is.
I think they're knocked out.
Who's knocked out?
Lev in that movie scene, right?
No. Lev is still, he's standing up, or they are standing up with their bow pointed at.
True. Yeah. You're right.
So Abby has her gun pointed at Ellie, and then she says that line, "We let you both live, and you wasted it." And then the game cuts to black after she says that, and it goes immediately to Abby's backstory. And then you play Abby for the second half of the game. I think it's gonna do the same thing in the show. It's gonna, after Abby says that line, it cuts to black, bam, end of season.
And then part 2 is Abby's perspective.
Yep. Yeah,
That would
Abby's
be
perspective.
amazing. I would love that.
I think,
bro.
I think it'd be. The thing is that I feel like they would have to film those seasons back to back because it would suck.
Yeah.
Because for us, it was like, okay, we just go immediately into playing Abby. So like, yes, we're angry, but like at least like we get to like continue the game. I feel like that anger would be even worse if if there's a large gap between season 2 to season 3 because you cut off after that moment with Abby, and then you have to wait years to find out what happens. No, I feel like you have to do those seasons like back to back.
Or do one episode Ellie, one episode Abby.
I agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm not sure if I'm fully on board with something like that, just because
You didn't finish the game.
Seems like what?
You didn't finish the game, Macho.
What does that to do with what I'm about to say?
So the pacing, like it's like there are things in the game that I mean, no, you saw it. You got spoiled. Never mind. Continue.
Exactly. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm talking more about just the structure of a show, like, because I'm more like personally, I'm more a fan of like a season. It's like a solid season, because if we have like a season that leads right into like another, like a part 2, I guess, like of of a season there, then if it gets, I don't know, I think it can get a little messy in that sense, or where the case may be. I'm not sure, but
Sure.
I'm not sure. But either way, I agree with you. So, like, if they do something like that, I'll be fine with it. But I think they would have to film it back to back for sure, and be like, yeah, season 2 is 2025, and then right when that season finale comes, guess what? Season 3 is 2026.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. They have to structure it that way, or else people are just gonna be mad for like 2 years until season 3 comes out. So like.
But how would
Yeah.
you do the flashbacks as well, right? Because you have to record if they're gonna do the moments where Ellie finds out the truth, and they go into that building and they have this encounter with the bloater and whatever. Like, will we see that now, or
I mean, that's all in the same section. That's all in Ellie's first section. Those
right?
flashbacks.
Right.
So that would all just be in season 2.
Interesting. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? You know what? Yeah, I'm down for that, actually, for the whole
And
what you're talking about, your scenario, because one other show did that, and I really liked it, and
What?
that was The Walking Dead.
oh,
They did that with Negan, and nobody knew who got the bat at the end of that episode until the next season. That was like 6 months away.
yeah.
So yeah,
S-
I'm down
that-
with
that type
'cause
of
I got a
cliffhanger
lot
works.
of people talking. So
Yeah, and it works. The cliffhanger. That's the thing. I think there's an art to the cliffhanger, because some cliffhangers are just downright like it makes you mad in a way that you feel like you wasted time. But I feel like if the story is purposeful and you know that there's more to be had from the story, and to you're gonna get rewarded, I feel like cliffhanger is like a good talking point for sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of anime do that crap all the time, and I mean, look at Attack on Titan, final season season 4, part 1 something. It's like, and they keep giving you cliffhangers, but people keep going back to it. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Who y'all want to see as Abby?
Well, I don't know. I have no clue.
Y'all want to see Scarlett Johansson?
Margot Robbie. Who's Abby? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way, I think it would be cool if they got not a super well-known actor
Sure.
or actress.
So the one that
rather.
did her model.
I mean, the one girl that is like rumored or whatever, it's funny because I actually am familiar with her work just because I watched The Wilds on Amazon Prime, and like, yeah, I mean, I don't know,
Is she good?
I mean, I enjoyed her in that show.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know who they can possibly pick for that. Whoever they do,
I think
it's not gonna be fun.
I think it would be cool if they brought the same actress for Dina, since she was the one to introduce Craig and Neil together. That'd be pretty dope.
And it's not like they're opposed to doing that
Who-
since they Marlene's actor, Merle Dandridge. So
Sharon Woodward, the one that did Dina. She's
I
incredible.
feel like she's too old.
I
feel like she's-
mean, bro, look at Mark Hamill. They put in Mando. It doesn't. They can de-age. I don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
like that. I don't think that.
Look at Tess in the remake. I mean, Tess in the show looks older than Tess from the game.
That's
So,
true too.
yeah, I mean, not old in
Yeah.
like, oh my god, you look like you have more age. No, old in like the apocalypse made me age.
Like Tess in the game looks like she just got her hair dyed.
Yeah, she looks like she just got out of Paul Mitchell's. Like, hey, Joel, I got robbed. Yeah, I got robbed at the beauty salon.
But in part one, she looks older.
Yeah, but it's again a remake, so it makes sense that in the show she looks old. So Dina looking maybe not old, but of age. You know what I mean? Or like not decrepit, but like jaded. Like the apocalypse did something to her. I don't know, man. We'll see what they cast. It'd be cool if season 1 ends with. I wonder if they're gonna do the okay, or if they're gonna. It has to be okay. It has to be, because if they go the movie trope route or the show trope, it'd be showing a little girl finding the surgeon dead. You know, I don't know.
I mean, it would be.
That'd be
would
cool.
be interesting if they did that,
That'd be
but then
hype.
it's like they made this season
Without knowing.
that season 2 would be greenlit. So like
Maybe they
that
film
would-
it in the next few weeks. I don't know their power.
nah.
But Black
People-
Adam
people already
filmed
see-
Black Adam
No,
filmed the
people have already
Superman scene a month before the movie came out.
Well, people have already seen the entire season. That's not possible.
You're right.
Man, can we at least get Naughty Dog's game? Can we just get the Last of Us faction before we talk about part 2 for a show?
No,
Come
you
on,
finish
man.
part 2 and then we'll talk about factions.
Shut up, Walt.
You clown on Soul for not finishing Last of Us and PS3, and now we clown on you for not finishing part 2.
It's because I was bored, man.
Equal trade,
I
as
actually
Thanos
played
would
it. Soul
say.
did- I actually played it. Soul didn't play part 1, so
Bro,
Anyway.
Yeah.
no, we're not that very subject. You play the game,
yeah,
son.
finish the damn game, Macho.
Yeah, Walt.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's play the damn game, man.
No.
We'll wait for that price to come down first, man. But yeah,
Oh, man.
that's gonna do it for DualShock Sense episode 88. Had a really great time with you guys. Lots to talk about. Very curious to see what happens next week, man, in the world of gaming. Very
Sir.
curious.
Wait, do you know something? Do you know something?
No, I don't.
Come on,
Man's talking like wonton.
It's like- no, it just feels like something's always going on in the gaming industry, man.
Yeah,
So,
who's
like,
your insider? Huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
man.
Come on, we just got a game. We just got a game code from a nice indie developer. Now you tell me you heard something?
Man's like, trust
Are
me.
we insiders?
Man's like, trust me, bro. Trust me.
You asked me who's my insider, the one and only Tim Dog, man. That's
Damn,
me.
Mr.
Oh no,
Bro.
Also,
Not
did you
Tim Doggy Dog? No.
did you guys see the Horizon leak?
The
I
artwork.
did, yeah. I did,
Yeah, the artwork.
Yeah, man.
Well, we'll say that for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Will we?
anyway.
Will we, though?
Cartoony,
I don't-
cartoony, yeah, looking. No, but yeah, no. It's Fortnite.
But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for us. We're gonna get started with these outros. Before we do, I want to remind everyone to go ahead and like the podcast, share it out, and consider subscribing to the channel. We just got our 141st subscriber.
Salute.
I don't know if I said that correctly, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Had
So,
an aneurysm, but yeah, you said it right.
yeah, I was trying to figure out if that sounded right. But yeah, let's get started with these outros. Macho, you got anything going on this week?
Yes, sir. Not Forspoken.
Last of Us, right?
That. Shut up. It's gonna be full on Hi-Fi Rush. A Space for the Unbound. Finish those games up, and then absolutely diving back into the world of Hitman. They just got a fresh new update, a roguelike mode called Freelancer. And they finally made the Hitman platform a little more accessible too. So I'm excited to jump back into that and just get back to the world of Hitman. Man, I'm really pumped for that. And then Hogwarts, and just run my time. I'm really excited. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Hi-Fi Rush, and Hitman, and A Space for the Unbound. Really excited.
Nice. Walt, what about you?
I got some Persona 4 Golden to get through. I got some Dead Space Remake. And I got Hi-Fi Rush. All beautiful games, fantastic games. And I'm watching Peaky Blinders. I'm on season 2 now, and that show is fantastic. Hey, gangsters, there's no gabagoo. It's all tea and crumpets and biscuits. No gabagoo, but the biscuits. You know what I mean? That's really good. Really good. I recommend it. And Last of Us, man, more Last of Us. So people should tune in for our next discussion. If not tomorrow, it'll be early next week. What about you, Soul? What do you have planned? More RPGs? More of that Pathfinder overwhelming goodness?
Nah, I uninstalled that. I've literally just been kind of like going back and forth between Cyberpunk and Divinity, just playing those in my second playthroughs on those.
Fantasy and sci-fi. Love it.
Yeah, and then a little bit of Signalis peppered in there as well. Actually, I did download. I know I shouldn't do that, but I re-download NBA 2K22.
I saw in the friends. I was like that.
Huh?
That dude, man.
Bro, Scooby-Doo reaction.
And I played like 3 games, and I was in the middle of the 3rd game, and immediately was reminded of like why I don't like these games anymore, and uninstalled it. So it's just weird. Like I was feeling weird this week, man. I was getting cravings of things that like I just like don't normally get, and I was like, man, I do miss playing basketball games. So just like downloaded that like on a whim. Played a couple games, was like, all right, I'm all right, man. Now I remember why I don't play these games anymore.
I got cravings. You're pregnant. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man.
I
But
hear you.
but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Actually playing some good games this week, you know. So,
Damn.
yeah, but
You. Oh man. Well, did you just hear a horse cry?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh wait, that's Scooby-Doo. The pony over here.
but yeah, man, that's gonna do it for us this week. We will catch you guys next week. Actually, possibly tomorrow to talk about Last of Us. We will see. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. We will catch you guys next week. Peace out.